Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Rydercat. You can find me at Rydercat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effect you just heard comes from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the borough. We just celebrated the 25-year anniversary of the passing of one Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., one of our favorite sons from the People's Republic of Brooklyn. So, in his honor,
is Brooklyn in the house, without a doubt.
There you go.
Indeed, spread love. It's the Brooklyn way out here.
Right, Moet and Alizé. They keep me. Well, I'm not going to say the next part.
Yes, indeed. West folks, this is the Comic Book Chronicles, and you can find said Comic Book Chronicles on the Coastal the Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast personal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You can also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Folks, we're going to get into some comics.
Right. I was about to say, remember to hit like and subscribe and leave us 5-star reviews, all that good stuff on the podcast and the video feed and stream. If I misspoke earlier, I think I might have said celebrate. I really should have said commemorate or memorialize the passing of Biggie, because his passing obviously is no reason to celebrate the anniversary of it, but instead to commemorate and memorialize it.
Yeah, some people think passing is a celebration of life. So so I'm pretty sure no one would take it, negatively, the way you said it.
Right. Well, just to be clear.
Sure. But yeah, but like I said, we're going to get into some comics here in a second. Just wanted to, at the very least, mention, I'm not going to go too far into it, the fact that the Star Wars Picard season 2 episode 2 dropped.
Did you say Star Wars Picard?
I did. Star Wars. We got Star Wars news later.
Right, exactly, because something did drop this week, very Star Wars related, so actually, we're going to talk about that, but it sounds like Roddy Cat's got some Star Trek to talk about first.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I didn't even I do that often, so it's I know somebody's gonna
much to the consternation of the Star Wars and Star Trek fan bases.
Yeah, both fan bases would be like, the hell is wrong with you? And I consider myself a part of both, so it's,
exactly. So. For the ones who are in the who are intersectional that way, right, who are in the middle part of the Venn diagram, it's probably very tough.
Exactly. But yes, Star Trek Picard season 2 episode 2 dropped today as of this recording, Thursday. And Agent 70 hasn't seen it yet, so we're not gonna go too far into it. Just to say that we get like last episode, we got into pretty much catching up in the and now the plot thickens, so to speak. Like if you've watched the first episode, you kind of know what's going on. This is kind of getting themselves together to do what they have to do. It kind of lended itself as if it was going one way that was slightly kind of familiar, and it still kind of is. But at the same time, it's like, no, actually, there are a couple of familiar beats in it, if you know enough about your Star Trek lore. But, let's just say the placement of where they are and what they're trying to accomplish is slightly different from something from a couple of things from Trek lore. I'll say that. So I'm like, we'll see how it goes. I don't know how many episodes it is. I'm going to assume it's 10, like the first season was, but I'm not entirely sure. And I'm assuming it's 10 because, as we will talk about in the news, there's another Trek show that's going to be starting, and I doubt they will want to overlap those two. Not to say they have anything to do with each other, but I'm sure, just like Disney stuff, they don't want too much stuff, conflicting with each other. So, but yeah,
Okay.
It was still good.
Right. All right, that's cool.
No,
so you enjoyed it, huh?
Oh yeah. Like
So
like
we're 2 episodes in.
Yeah, 2 episodes in. Like I said, I'm assuming it's 10, but I don't honestly know. So, and I need to. I don't need to. I guess I can do a quick IMDb search to see if it's up there yet. But
Gotcha. When did these episodes drop? That's probably going to inform when I watch these.
Thursday mornings, or I think I want to say 5 o'clock, but I'm not sure. But I know definitely Thursdays. They're usually out there Thursdays mornings when I see them.
Thursday morning, okay.
Yes, they definitely drop on Thursdays. So I don't know if it's 3 o'clock or 5 in the morning, but I do.
Gotcha. All right, so I have to. So that may not lend itself to me catching up. I mean, being current by next week's episode, but I will probably have a chance to watch the first 2 by then.
Right. Yeah, I was like, it's a weird day to drop them on. But then again, some would say that about Wednesdays also. But at least that gives us enough time to kind of, or at least that gave us enough time to kind of to do something about it. Get a legs under them. But luckily, my Thursdays are not outside of reading books. Is not that terrible. I know your schedule is a little bit different, but
right.
So. But yeah, like I said, enjoying it so far. I'm very curious if if this is going to go a similar way than season 1 did, because it was kind of going a certain way, and then it was like, oh, by the way, at the end it kind of switched gears just a little bit. I think it kind of started out that way with this one. But it is definitely some Trek stuff, so it's not like outside the realm of possibilities. The only thing that was different between this and that was the stuff at the end with Picard personally.
Gotcha.
But I mean but it has nothing to do. They kind of talk about it here and there, but they don't even get into into it that much. So But yeah, no, like I said, it felt like they were going to go a familiar beat, more similar to some stuff that's going on in the comic section right now, or a particular set of comics, but so not really. So yeah. Anyway, that's that. Now we're going to actually get into some comic books with Strange Academy number 17.
All right, so Strange Academy number 17 is written by Scotty Young with art by Humberto Ramos. I've done that before as an homage to Joe Beningo, who used to do an ad read for Humberto's Clam House on the overnight on Sports Radio 66 WFAN here in New York. Colors on this issue are by Edgar Delgado, and letters are by VC's Clayton Cowles. I'm going to hand this off to Roddy Cat in a big way in a second, but I will say that this issue absolutely follows right up on the events of the previous issue, which dropped, it feels like, very recently. Strange Academy 16 feels like it was just out within the last 2 weeks.
That does feel, believe that was actually the case, yes.
So, we are right on the heels of the previous issue. So I think this is a side effect of maybe previous delays in the release schedule and the publishing schedule, most likely pandemic related. But it seems like we've gotten a couple of these issues out in quick succession. Take it away.
Yes. So, the events of last issue, speaking of, found a couple of things happening. One, there was a spring ephemeral. There was 2, the expulsion of one Calvin, I guess Morris is his name. And in this particular issue, we find that one particular student is, I guess we can call her a semi-main character, more a focal character, kind of feels a way about the expulsion. And what feels like, we were talking about this earlier before the show, what feels like something a little outside of her character, has one kind of treated the situation a little bit more hyperly than it feels like it should be, but also the way she kind of brushed off her date, Doyle, to the winter formal seems uncharacteristic for her, but in line with keeping in the prophecy that kind of loomed over him and them, that was brought up again in this issue, which seems to be coming true. I feel like there's something behind that, like, and maybe that may or may not come to be true, because it felt like the last couple of issues were like, oh no, prophecy doesn't necessarily have to happen like that. It's not going to be the case, and it's just one possible thing, and then switch to, oh no, this is definitely a thing that's happening. But because of that, causes some shift in the school and the student bodies at the end of this issue, because of Emily's, which is the character in question's, radicalization of the class, let's say. Meanwhile, we got Dr. Voodoo, who went to go to have a chat with the person that partially caused this issue, which was that Gaslight Camp character, much, at the beginning of this book, and that kind of went a certain way. So,
Gas lamp,
yeah. Wait, what did I say?
Gaslight.
Oh,
like the actual.
And you know
term
what? I put that in my notes as I did that exact thing in my notes. I said gas light and then gas lamp. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, gas lamp character, who, if you've watched The Princess and the Toad, he looks like that dude that Keith David voices.
So, yeah, I mean, that's that's a reference that I don't get and deserves. Where Korath? Where are you? Korath, where? Oh my God, where the heck did I stash Korath? Unbelievable. Where did I put? Oh, here we are.
Who?
Thank you. I gotta move that over here where I'll be able to see it better.
Hey, back from What If.
I'm sorry to interrupt. No. But I just wanted to comment on a couple of things that you mentioned. First, it's interesting that the gas lamp character is, it seems like a long-time resident of the magical parts of New Orleans. So when the more powerful, more recognized teachers of the Strange Academy founded the Strange Academy and moved their source, the school, towards a source of magic in or near New Orleans, they knew of Gaslamp's existence. That's what it seems like from the interaction between Dr. Voodoo and Gaslamp in this issue.
Right.
So that seems very likely.
Right. Oh no, and that was very much established when Gaslamp. Sorry, I don't know why I keep doing that. Gaslamp kind of came into being, because if you recall from a few issues back, when the kids went into town, Zoe basically ended up telling the story that brought him into play.
Right.
So yeah, she definitely knew, and Dr. Voodoo definitely knew of his existence because they were both natives there. So yeah, it's definitely, he's definitely a person that's been there before the school was founded and folks knew about him.
Right, and he's recognized as such. So, and we've never really been sure if there is a single protagonist like a Harry Potter, because that's obviously the easiest analogy to make in this, in this situation, when we're talking about the Strange Academy. But, there's more. There's really a kind of an inner circle and an outer circle of characters. And so the character that we were talking about before, who seems to be playing the lead rabble rouser role, is definitely in the inner circle of characters that we have gotten to know over the 17 issues of the Strange Academy. Right. So It's interesting that they took her character, and that's a spoiler right there. They took the character in this direction, especially in the direction of being I guess speaking their truth to what they're speaking what they perceive to be their truth to power.
Yes,
I think that is a very accurate way of describing what's been happening here. Obviously, in the wake of the death of Doctor Strange and some of the things that have happened with Calvin, I think some opinions have been changed and some things may have been thrown, some perceptions may have been thrown askew.
right.
I think, based on what's been happening. And so that essentially leads us to where this issue ends up at its cliffhanger page.
Right. But it's still kind of weird, especially with this character, that it ended up that way. Like, obviously, for the story to be what it is, it has to go this way. But it felt like a weird, quick turn for this character. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibilities that this character would incite some stuff based on her beliefs, but to the extent as you say, as the opinions of things were kind of got skewed or seemingly skewed, especially when she was explaining that, like, that's not necessarily how things kind of went the case, but like her perception or what is perceived to be the case is, like you said, got kind of skewed and kind of going that way. It was like, it was still kind of weird to read, but at the same time, like, okay, hopefully it's gonna, I assume that's why I felt like there's something else that's behind it outside of the known quantities.
Right. And there's also an element here of a Greta Thunberg-esque protest at the end of the issue. Very poignant, very timely, and very much akin to what has been happening over the last several years when it comes to children of a certain age and a certain school level.
Right. So yeah, so definitely just timely at that. So, and also not outside of realm of possibilities for such a situation, in a sense. It just seems kind of weird, given the nature of things. So, and the nature of the character.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was, and I agree with you that it was a definite shift that was unexpected in this character's, characterization.
Right. So, like I said, we will see how it goes for like, we know a potential outcome, but we, they can still go away to kind of snuff that out or change the outcome in the coming issues, but we'll see. So yeah, unless you got something else about that, we can move on.
No, just we were looking for a news article for more information on this, but I had overheard on a Marvel podcast that came out, I want to say early this week. I want to say it was the Marvel Pull List, and I believe they mentioned that the Strange Academy series is going to go on a brief hiatus for the summer because, and they spun it. The spin that they used was that it's essentially summer vacation. It's a summer break for the school, so they're taking the summer off. And so maybe what we see here coming out in April may very well be the last issue for Strange Academy. I don't know if it's going to be in a volume or if it's just going on a brief hiatus and come back with the next issue following the summer, in the late summer or fall. So we will hopefully have some more information on that very soon.
Yeah. And Q, are you ready for the summer from Are you ready for the summer from Meatballs, which I recognize that probably one, maybe two people would recognize that of if you're a vintage. The crowd probably skews a little younger for that movie, but that's fine.
I mean, at the end of the day, oh man, has it been that long since I used? Oh no, it's still up on the board.
You see, Meatballs was an old '80s movie starring a young Bill Murray. Never mind, we don't have to get into
that. Listen, it's probably I recognize the movie, but I don't think I've watched it. So,
okay.
But I'm also one of those people that like rewatches things that I love endlessly and learns to quote lines from it, like in regular life and even in business.
Sure.
Like, you know, I have to tell you, I literally, you know, I was talking to somebody about church business today. No, not today, but this week, and I was quoting Die Hard. I was talking about being the fly in the ointment, and I left out the Hans, the monkey in the wrench, the pain in the ass. So
nice.
But anyway, moving on, President Bartlett.
What's next?
Amazing Spider-Man number 92.
So we have some interesting creative notes on this book as we, you know, barrel towards the end of this Beyond storyline. So the plot for this issue is by Kelly Thompson. The script is by Jed McKay. The art is by a trio of artists: Fran Galan, Sarah Pichelli, and Zay Carlos, and you can absolutely tell who is, you know, when there's an art change in the book.
Yeah.
Colors are by Brian Reber, and letters are by, of course, our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So as I said earlier, this is, you know, I want to say this is not quite the penultimate issue because I think there's a Beyonce issue after this, and then it's going to go to 93, and that's the ultimate, the final issue of the Beyond story.
Right.
And so, you know, there is a Beyonce issue that follows up on, and when I say the Beyonce issue, it's going to be 92.BEY for Beyond, but it looks too much like Bay, so it's the Beyonce issue. Yes. You know, that's listen to me, that's the old guy trying to appeal to the younger crowd. Hello kids, want to skateboard? So in this issue, the subject behind what is this? Subject Z, I think it was called.
Yes.
Right. The subject behind the gate labeled as Subject Z was unleashed due to Door Z, right? It was the subject behind Door Z was unleashed thanks to Ben Reilly needing a distraction. You gotta love Ben Reilly if you like, you know, characters who are annoying. That's not me. I happen to hate Ben Reilly, and you know, at some point they're probably going to redeem him at the end of this issue and maybe, you know, leave him for, I don't know, greener pastures. I hope. We'll see.
He already has his own book, so.
Is that supposed to be in the aftermath of this Beyond storyline?
That part I don't know, because I mean we already got the first two issues are out, and I've not read either one, so I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, we'll find more out, you know, when they settle the Beyond story in a few issues, right? But ultimately, getting back to this issue, this subject who is behind Dorsey is none other than, and I'm going to ring the spoiler bell here because if you have been keeping up with this, you may not have immediately understood what was going on here. And there is a twist here, so I'm going to ring the spoiler bell. So spoilers incoming for Amazing Spider-Man number 92 in 3, 2, 1. All right, so we find out that Beyond has been experimenting on the Lizard, and in conjunction with experimenting on the Lizard, they have been experimenting on him using Michael Morbius, curiously timed to make Michael Morbius a little bit more of a hero character, seemingly around the same time that the character is going to be starring in a movie that is supposed to come out at some point this year.
Yes.
You know, and we're going to revisit that concept of synergy between the comics and the upcoming movies shortly in another book that I read this week. But getting back to Amazing Spider-Man number 92, as I said earlier, we're following up on both both Spider-Men in this issue, not the other one, but the other one.
Yes.
And so the Daughters of the Dragon and Peter are dealing with Michael Morbius and the Lizard, who is now apparently a vampire lizard because of his wings and his discoloration. And meanwhile, Ben Reilly is off to do his very best or worst at trying to take down the Beyond Corporation. And ultimately, we move in very incremental steps towards those goals. So we don't get any real finality in this issue, but we get to a point in this issue where we are leading into what is likely the end game for this Beyond storyline with the Beyond Spider-Man. I will tell you that I have not enjoyed the Beyond era of Spider-Man at all. I told this to Roddy Cat. If it wasn't for the fact that we were following along with this, I probably would have dropped this book waiting for Peter to come back in the new number 1.
I think when this was pretty much when this pretty much started, we both said that same thing, because it's like we don't need Ben's back as Spider-Man Prime, quote unquote. No, neither one of us cared, but yeah,
right.
Somehow this thing have managed to keep us on the hook with things here and there, or people here and there, like the Daughters of Dragon. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, you can see the cover, which has the Peter and the Daughters of the Dragon fighting Bat Lizard.
Exactly. And we always talk about it, and it doesn't really need to be repeated, but I remember saying at the very beginning to Roddy Cat on the show that they would give us just enough Peter to keep us tuning in, every couple of weeks.
And they did just that. More than I definitely expected, for sure. So, but
right, and it looks like Monica Rambeau is going to be appearing in the Beyonce issue.
Yeah, Auntie Monica, as they said in this issue, which I was kind of happy for them to say. I'm like, all right, I see them
which is weird because the Daughters of the Dragon have been around longer than Monica Rambeau.
True, but no. I think the reason why they said it like that was because I think that was a reference to Monica herself calling herself that in I think probably in the Ultimates like a while back or something like that. So,
okay, it's just weird. To me that's weird because the Daughters of the Dragon have been around for a lot longer.
70s, yeah, but again, sliding time scale.
Whatever. Goodness, this is man. Just shout out to Van Lathan of the Ringerverse, the of the Ringer Podcast Network. They poke fun at him for being Old Man Van, and he's younger than both myself and Roddy Cat. And it makes me cringe every time they call him Old Man Van. I'm like, yo, we got a couple of years on this dude.
Right. There are people who I dare say old souls, but also they kind of have old personalities, I guess. So I don't know. I can't speak to that because I've never watched them.
But when I bring that up, it's just that we actually have been living through and feeling the rubber band sliding timeline.
Right.
That's the interesting part. We're not looking at it purely from an academic perspective, like a new reader or current reader perspective. We actually lived through it. We're like, wait a second, this is not how this happened. Exactly. What's going on?
Right. So when I saw that, that's why I took that as like I agree with you. It's like, yeah, you're right. It was like, wait a minute, those two characters have definitely been around longer than Monica. But like I said, that's kind of how I took it, just to keep from being upset about the time difference. Plus, like I said, remembering that she herself called herself that. And actually, no, it might not have been in Ultimates. It might have been like a Mighty Avengers.
Okay.
One or two, but regardless, it was something Avengers related. But I do remember reading it because I think I pulled that for CB Caps at one point in time. But regardless, yeah. So I'm looking forward to, at the very least, that issue, because we're gonna see it. I feel like it was kind of really blatant the way they kind of cliffhangered that part into going to that issue. It's not surprising that they did that, but it was like, really, this is what we're doing, huh? Like, you're just gonna pull one more tie-in issue on us, and before we go out. So I'm like, okay, fine, go ahead, do your worst, as long as you get this thing over with, which should be in what, 2 weeks, I assume.
I
I
think it's going to be done by the end of the month.
Right.
Right, because I think the Beyonce issue. We could look at the solicits for next week.
That's true.
But yeah, it'll be done soon. That's the bottom line.
Right. So, and that's fine, because like I said, and we have some news on what's coming next after this particular arc in the news section.
All right, so if that's it for Amazing Spider-Man number 92, we can actually move on. And this is, interestingly enough, this week, this is where our reading paths diverge. Roddy Cat and I do not have any more books in common, so we're going to be throwing out just a few more books before we get to rapid fire reviews. So do you want to throw out a book, President Bartlett?
What's next?
Sure. And actually, I can confirm that going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, Star Trek Picard does seem to have 10 episodes.
Okay.
Which makes sense, because again, there's another show that's coming up in the same month that ends. So that's actually, it might be the same week, now that I think about it. But regardless, what's next? Actually, let's keep on the Spider Train. Wait, you haven't read this one, so yeah. Like I said, I feel like we can just kind of go into rapid, if we're being honest, since we.
Oh, okay. I mean, it'll be like a modified rapid fire, because we probably do have a couple books we want to talk about more than others. So I will spin it up though.
Okay.
I ain't got time to move.
All right. So do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
All righty, so I'm going to start off with The Good Asian number 9 of 10. So we are in the penultimate stages of this great crime noir story written by Pornsak Pichetshoot, with art by Alexandra Tefenki, colors by Lee Luffridge, and letters by Jeff Powell. So this is the penultimate issue of the miniseries, and let me tell you, there's a lot of movement in this issue. There's a lot of reflection, a lot of exposition, and a lot of, as if I said it earlier, I need to emphasize story movement in this issue, because we're leading up to the finale. So without going too deeply into the story, there is a small time jump involved. There are alliances formed, loyalties tested, alignments rearranged in terms of characters and their loyalties. And as I said earlier, we're leading up to what should be a very interesting final issue. If you are looking for something that is not of the superhero ilk of comic books, if you're looking for maybe something a little different that's rooted in a little bit of history, definitely not a historical comic per se, but definitely rooted in a particular era of history, and need a nice solid story to be told with some cool twists and turns, and don't mind the crime noir stuff, hey, Good Asian is a good pick for you. So I definitely recommend this book. I am definitely of the superhero ilk. I'm definitely on that team superhero, but at the same time, I am more than willing to try out new and different things. So I would recommend The Good Asian to people looking for something new to read. This is, I want to say, probably going to be either one 10-issue trade paperback, or the second. This is going to be collected as part of the second of a 5-issue compilation. So I think there is a trade paperback that consists of 5 issues of the book that's already out now, if you need to catch up. All right, next up is Devil's Reign number 5 of 6. This limited series is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Marco Cacchetto. colors by Marcio Moniz, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So Devil's Reign has been coming out in a weird publishing schedule. Last week's Devil's Reign Elektra miniseries ended with what was a spoiler for an event that actually happens in this week's issue of the main limited series. And what I suspected to be true is in fact true in terms of what was potentially spoiled in that issue. There are news stories about it, but if you don't want to get spoiled, just avoid them and try to get to this issue as soon as you can. Ultimately, this very New York-centric storyline that revolves around most of the street-level heroes in New York City as they rebel against the machinations of the mayor of New York, Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. We're going to, it's probably not a spoiler that we may be nearing the end of Wilson Fisk's tenure as mayor, but guess what? He was elected mayor a long time ago in real time. In our real time, he's been mayor of New York City for several years. I think even longer than an actual regular mayoral term. I want to say he was elected in the comics in like 2016 or 2017. So it's already been more than 5 years. And I think the mayoral term in New York City is 4 years. But ultimately, we're racing towards a conclusion. And, there have been a lot of weird crossovers and limited series that have come up out of this Devil's Reign stuff. We've had a weird Dr. Octopus miniseries that came up with multiversal Dr. Octopi, and that's just weird. They do play some role in the story, but it was just a very weird thing. Shout outs to the editor behind this who allowed for some really weird ideas to take shape around what would be, a pretty straightforward city-based, like a street level-based superhero book. See if there's anything else I need to add.
Well, there's that Moon Knight one also that came up that started this week, which I guess would answer one of the questions that I had about that part that I think I answered last week.
Okay.
So
I have not read very many of the tie-ins. I've been keeping up mainly with the main limited series, but I'll see if I can't take a quick peek at that. Oh, there's an Omega issue too. Boo!
Isn't there always?
There's always an Omega issue. That stinks. So, in passing, I wanted to note. Now that I talked about Devil's Reign number 6, I wanted to note that Eternals number 10 is out this week by Kieron Gillen, written by Kieron Gillen, art by Isadora Beach, and colors by Matthew Wilson. I want to mention this because both Roddy Cat and I have been remiss in not keeping up with Eternals, because, especially in the wake of the announcement that Judgment Day crossover between the Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals is coming up. So I think that especially the current arc of Eternals is part of the ramp up to the Judgment Day crossover, more so than anything that's happening in any of the other 2-team books. Avengers is off doing its multiversal a story that has to deal with Avengers Forever, and the multiversal Masters of Evil, and the X-Men are still dealing with like the whatever phase of the Krakoan story they're in now. So Eternals is where you're going to find most of the ramp up to that Judgment Day crossover. So I think it would behoove both of us to at least take a look at those issues. And if you're interested in that Judgment Day crossover, you may want to peep these issues. Next up is a new number 1 issue for this week. It's Punisher number 1. It's written by Jason Aaron. Pencils are by Jesus Saiz. Inks are by Paul Azaceta. Colors are by Dave Stewart. And letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. So, look, I'm a fan of the Punisher. Some people aren't. I grew up a fan of the Punisher. I collected back issues of the Punisher. I do not have his first appearance, but I did buy as back issues the first 5-issue limited series that had the Punisher as a solo title, that had him as a solo lead character. And I collected the War Journal when Jim Lee was on it. I bought a lot of those as back issues because I missed out on some of the early ones. But I definitely enjoyed the Punisher character. They've taken that character in all sorts of directions, and unfortunately, the symbol of the skull on his chest has been appropriated by ne'er-do-wells and frankly quite stupid people. And it's unfortunate that as a result, the Disney Corporation and its Marvel subsidiaries has to reply. And it seems like part of its reply has been a slight redesign of the skull emblem that is on Frank Castle's chest. And to explain away that change in the emblem, we have the story. So I have a feeling I know where Jason Aaron is taking Frank Castle here, but obviously it's only the first issue. There is a twist in this issue. It's not the first time we've seen this particular story twist come in, but it's the first time that it's being brought in with this particular premise. And the premise, and it's not really a spoiler because they've talked about it in the press. The premise is that Frank Castle has been recruited by the Hand. And the Hand is almost never up to any good. The Hand, also deals in resurrections. So that is a big hint in what is going on in this storyline. Obviously, if you remember, the Hand has dealt with, a lot of the street level characters and the martial artists of the Marvel Universe, namely Daredevil, Elektra, of course, being at the top of the list, secondarily being Wolverine and Black Widow, and going down the line. So
Punisher also has dealt with the Hand before now as well.
Say again?
I feel like Punisher also
I think most of the street level, but that's my point.
Right.
It's mostly dealing with and that absolutely follows along with my thought process here, is that it makes sense that the Punisher would be a character that would be primed to interact with the Hand, especially for the purposes that are enumerated in this issue. So as I said, it's in the press. It's not really a spoiler, but if you want to read this first issue with as clear a clear-eyed view of where they might take it, it's best to come in mostly cold with maybe some of the information that from the Punisher coming in, from his origin coming in, and then just sort of reading this and seeing where we are here. Again, the sliding Marvel timeline here is always tough to reconcile because Frank is, in most people's minds, not a young person, right? Originally, he's a Vietnam vet, but he's not a Vietnam vet anymore, not in the sliding rubber band Marvel timeline. At most, he probably is not even a post 9/11 vet. He's probably younger than that. He's probably like in the second wave or the third wave of Afghanistan and whatchamacallit and Iraq. Mm-hmm. He's almost certainly not post 9/11 because that would put him maybe a little too old, but maybe not. It depends.
Gotcha.
But ultimately, I see where this is going, I think. But I'll see if Aaron has something up his sleeve. I felt like the Avengers story that Aaron's been telling has been a little hit and miss for me. It's a little on the too broad side, especially bringing in that Avengers Forever book and dealing with the multiversal stuff. I'm not as big on the multiversal stuff. I'd much rather have a gigantic Avengers team the way Hickman did it, and just tell really big universe spanning stories. But I guess there's only so much of a stomach for that in the editorial office. But in any event, the Punisher book, I think, is a pretty decent first issue to reintroduce everyone to Frank Castle and to this new direction that he's in. Next up is Thor number 23. It's written by Donny Cates with art by Nick Klein, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So, yo, this is definitely a clear candidate for Kliq of the Week for me, because this is as the cover says, and I think Roddy Cat probably has the cover up, it is the realms-shattering finale of God of Hammers. So I'm not going to spoil what happens here. There are a lot of things that happen in the finale to this story. Just to give everyone a quickie synopsis of what's happened up until now. Mjolnir has basically taken on a life of its own, and if you're familiar with the mythology that Jason Aaron and Cates have instilled in the current version of Mjolnir, there's a god storm inside, but now the hammer itself has become the god of hammers, and has gained sentience in a sense and gained its own personality, and is rebelling against Thor and against the magics that Odin put on it. And so we get to, after a really interesting issue and a pretty intense battle, we get to the point of Mjolnir being in a certain state. And at the end of the issue, thanks to Angela, of all people, right? Remember, they have revealed that Angela is actually Thor's older sister. Thanks to Angela and the angels of Heaven, Mjolnir now resembles what Mjolnir looks like in the promotional materials for Thor Love and Thunder.
Okay. I'm
not going to spoil it beyond that. If Roddy Cat needs my explanation, I'll speak to him off air. But that is, I'm going to put that out there. Like I said, I didn't necessarily want to spoil everything in this issue. I think it is worth a read. So, but this is what I was referring to earlier as comics being synergistic with upcoming and possibly current movies. So, talk about getting that particular imagery of Mjolnir on the comic book stands. Next to last is X Lives of Wolverine number 4 of 5. So we are near the end of this X Lives of Wolverine stuff. This issue is written by Benjamin Percy, art by Joshua Cassara and Federico Vicentini. Colors are by Frank Martin, and letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. So I'm not gonna. It's so hard. I would be dropping gigantic spoilers if I talked about what happened in this issue. I will say though that in this issue we continue to follow up on some time travel, and we follow up on what is happening with Moira McTaggart as the result of the events of the trial of Magneto. And the events of the trial of Magneto have spilled into the X Lives and X Deaths books of Wolverine. And so if you're interested in what happens next to Moira and how that affects the possible future of mutant kind, you're going to have to read these books. And that's where I kind of find fault with how this is all going. I feel like I'm left wondering if this is how Hickman meant to end, or how he meant to end a certain character's storyline, or this is where he meant to lead this character storyline. He is still the head of X, so it seems to me like this is probably where he meant to lead it. It may not be how he would have executed it, but this is how he would have meant to lead this character once this character was reintroduced and put at the forefront of the X-Men, and that character being Moira McTaggart. So that is X Lives of Wolverine, and just very quickly, X Deaths of Wolverine number 4 It's also written by Benjamin Percy, with art by Federico Vicentini, colors by Diho Lima, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So, in a similar vein, we're following the time travel shenanigans that Wolverine has been sent on in this issue, in the X Lives. The gist of the story is that he's trying to protect Professor X during the time travel stuff. So, Omega Red is the agent of chaos that's being unleashed on the timeline, and all of this is being perpetrated by one Rasputin brother, and it's not Colossus. So there's a big spoiler. So if you've been reading X-Force, you definitely need to pick this up as well, and need to keep up with this. X-Force has been on hiatus, so you can't necessarily complain that you've had to read X-Force, buy X-Force and X Lives of Wolverine and X Deaths of Wolverine to keep up with the storyline. They're not necessarily forcing you to double dip, but these books are coming out in rapid succession. So in a sense, they're making you pay a little bit more to keep up with the story. But at the very least, this story seems to follow from the pages of X-Force, whereas the overall story, especially with regards to Moira, I'm still sort of scratching my head. I'm still like, so is this really where they wanted to take this character? Is this what Hickman, really wanted this character to do, or this is the twist? Because that's really what it is. The twist involving Moira is big, and how we reinterpret what we read in Hoxpox changes because of what has been delivered as a twist for Moira's story during these last several story arcs, Trial of Magneto and the 10 Lives and 10 Deaths included amongst that group of stories. So that is it for me. I will hand it off to Roddy Cat. And not exactly rapid fire on my part. I apologize. Maybe it was a bunch of 3-shot bursts.
Not a problem, because I'm pretty sure I will have a couple of my own. Which, starting off with... Oh, crap, I knew you were going to do that. Yo, these covers are going to be the problem. I Am Batman, number 7. So, let's see. It's written by John Ridley, art by Christian Deuce, colors by Rex Locus, and letters by ALW's Troy Pateri. So, I guess going back to the New York thing, Jason's in New York. He's the New York Batman now. He's working with the police there and the mayor. I would argue begrudgingly, but hey, it's better than nothing. And we have Detective Chubbs and Whitaker, formerly of the Gotham police force, that are the head of the task force that is supposed to be helping Batman, as they call him in this book, Strike Force Bat, which is kind of funny. But during their first case, apparently Jace is pretty much butt heads with them because, this rich dude got murdered in issue, I think it was last year's issue or two, and Jace is like, y'all can take care of this. I'll help you. I'll give you a lead too, but this is y'all's thing. I got a thing of my own to do, because he didn't want to have to deal with some case like that when there's so many other crimes going on in New York. But he had to kind of backtrack and mea culpa, because apparently the two cases, the case that he's working on and that particular case, are connected, obviously, not surprisingly. So so they have to now actually work together with the case going forward. I guess one thing to note, if you haven't been keeping up with this book, let's just say that the detective that he's working with, Chubbs specifically, doesn't like masks, and that kind of goes back to well, technically it goes back to Future State, but I guess since this is after Future State, this is kind of in line with that. But Future State and the Bat books before Future State, I guess Future State also kind of I don't know if she was in there or not. But regardless, this kind of goes back to that, and she doesn't trust the masks, but being that they've had to help each other out on occasion, they're starting to warm up to each other. Let's just say. So whether that keeps on being while they're just so happen to be all in New York, then we'll see how that works out. Next up, this was a fun book. This is a potential Kliq of the week actually for me. Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 9. This is the crossover, the part 2 of the crossover between John Kent's Superman and Nightwing, Dick Grayson. That came from what was it? Nightwing 89, I believe it was the last issue.
I don't remember the issue number.
I think it was. That's fine. But yeah, so this is the continuing of that crossover. This was actually kind of a fun issue in a way. Like, yeah, there was a thing that happened. I won't, without giving it too much away, but at the end of that Nightwing issue, they come to find out that hey, somebody was killing heroes. Just so happened to be that one of them that got killed was a particularly strong member of the Teen Titans, but no one of note, I would dare say, because I didn't recognize them. So that put Nightwing and John on the case of this. And in this particular issue here, they were basically trying to sniff out the crew that did it, and to see who's behind it. There could possibly be some Lex Luthor shenanigans, or at the very least, a Lex Luthor base is involved, or a building is involved. We don't know which is which, but that is the case. But on the other side of this, something happens in this issue that pretty much ends up making Dick by proxy and John's mentor, because it had been established in that Nightwing issue that John had looked up to Dick for quite a while, So and I believe Clark was the one who called in Dick to look after John every now and then. So this is kind of serving that purpose also. There were a couple of questions that were brought up in this issue that I was like, you know what? I agree. That is a valid question. One particular of those questions could have been asked to Bruce, because there was a particular scene in the book where John was scanning the Luthor building, and it was like, how do you get something like this made? Do you have like some contractor that serves evil purposes or something like that? And I was like, you can kind of ask, you might as well ask that to Batman also, because he's, how did the Batcave get done? So I thought that was kind of funny. But outside of that,
you can at least say it was Bruce and Alfred, but there's no way that was a two-person job, right?
Way. Right, exactly. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, like I said, outside of the fact that the team up was what it was, and the establishment of Dick as a mentor to young John, even though more powerful, he's still a kid, or he's still a youngster, I guess, at a certain point. It was kind of endearing that point. I'd say give it a read if you, because you did read that Nightwing 89 one, did you not? I thought you did.
I did, and I forgot that this was that was a crossover. So thanks for reminding me. I'll make sure to circle back to that.
Yeah, not a problem. Like I said, it's a pretty good read, I thought. So you might enjoy it. There's a shirt now I actually kind of want, but I think there is probably one that's probably one like it. So either way, that is that. And I forgot to get the creative team. I'm sorry. Written by Tom Taylor, pencils by Bruno Redondo, inks by Bruno Redondo and Wade Von Graubadger, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Wes Abbott. let's see. Next book. Actually, I can pretty much talk about these in tandem since they are related. First one is Trial of the Amazons #1 of 2, actually. So this is the big Amazon event in the DC universe. So it's going to go through, Nubian Amazons, which is the book I'll talk about next. Wonder Woman, and I believe Wonder Girl is also is tied into this. Well, I know she's tied into this because she shows up in here. But regardless, this is technically the first official in that book, because it kind of stemmed from Nubia and the Amazons. So this is written by Stephanie Williams, Vidi Ayala, Joel Jones, Michael Conrad, and Becky Cloonan. Art by, wow, I've made some typos here. Sorry for a second, excuse me. Laura Braga is doing art, Skylar Patridge, Joel Jones, and Elena Casagrande. Colors by Romulo Fajardo and Jolie Belair, and letters by Pat Brosseau. So a few things are going on here. Like I said, there's some things that's kind of tying into Nubia and the Amazons. Hippolyta's back because she was with the Justice League after handing off the queenly duties to Nubia at some point in the past. Probably when she was with the Justice League, and I think that was in the last year or so. But now she's back on Themyscira, and there's a couple of things that are going on. Is there's a contest that's going on because they need to find somebody to hold the door of this thing called the Doom's Doorway. And they've been that's been a theme through Nubia and Amazons. So there's that. So there's a contest going on that they're trying to get situated so that they can do that. We have these other sets of Amazons that are coming in. One particular known and one just known. I'm not even gonna say their names, but basically it's the crowd with like Artemis, if you know that DC character, her crew of Amazons. And also another newer group of Amazons, which is basically Yara Flor's lost group of Amazons. So they're all pretty much on Themyscira, and they're all meeting so they could enter this contest. And there's some bad blood between all of them. And like I said, this one new group they don't even know that much about because they're so new. And so Nubia is trying to deal with all of that. And trying to get everybody on one accord. But also we have this thing in the background where at the end of this issue there is, something's coming through Doom's doorway that's going to cause problems. Diana's actually back on Earth now. I guess that happened in the pages of Wonder Woman because I haven't been keeping up with that book. But Wonder Woman is also going to be tied up into this book. I forgot to mention that if that wasn't probably clear by the name of this event. But also there is another thing that happened near the end of this issue that is definitely affecting the island itself, but specifically a couple of people in general, one of which I named because there was a murder. And I won't go too far into that because I feel like I probably almost spoiled it just then and there. Which leads us into the next book, Nubia and the Amazons #6, which is the last issue of this book. Bink. I knew you were going to do that. I hate these covers. There we go. Creative team is story by Stephanie Williams and Vida Ayala. Script by Stephanie Williams. Pencils by Aletha Martinez, inks by Mark Morales, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by Becca Carey. So this is Trial of the Amazons Part 2. So this is kind of keeping on with that whole storyline, and this is pretty much the aftermath of what happened at the end of Trial of the Amazons #2. In fact, it's a few days later. There was a whole bunch of talking about what happened there. There's still something oozing through the door, which ends up starting to affect, at this point, at least one of the Amazons. But we don't necessarily, or we start to get a hint of what that may or may not be because of a conversation that happens here. There is someone who has taken charge, that being Cassie Sandsmark, taking charge to find out who was the murderer was of another major-ish character. And also, like I said, some still ongoing stuff with the contest that's going to be had. I'm assuming in the midst of this event with all of these different Amazons going on. So, and at the end of the book, one particular person, that being one Wonder Woman, Diana, pretty much has a way to deal with at least part of what's going on. But we will see in the next Wonder Woman issue what that it will end up being. So, I actually enjoyed Nubia and the Amazons while I was reading it. So I would say if anyone knows the character of Nubia and would like to read about what's going on with her at this particular moment and what is going on with my camera, I do not know. Either way, that is that. So while I fix that, I will go on to the next book, which is Captain Carter, number 1 of 5. This will be one of the 2 multiversal books that I talk about. Oh gosh, what is going on with this? Pardon me for a second, folks, while I okay, no. My camera decided to wig out. I do not know why. Or actually, it looks like Skype decided to wig out. I don't know what's going on.
I was going to say, it looks fine on my end.
No, it will, but Skype, something between Skype and OBS is
I see.
Yeah.
Understood.
So there we go. It'll probably fix this. There we go. I'll fix that there, and it'll probably wig out again at some point. So not a problem. Anyway, Captain Carter, number 1 of 5, like I said. Written by Jamie McElvey, art by Marika Cresta, color artist Eric Arciniega, letters of BC's Clayton Cowles. So I think this is taking place in the world of the What If Captain Carter. They don't necessarily say as much, but it would make sense. So if you've seen the What If animated series on Disney Plus, you know there was an episode that introduced Captain Carter, which granted she's been in the comics books before. I think she was in the Exiles before, so this character kind of existed before that. But just to kind of keep it a little clean, she may very well be from this one, because in that issue is established her. She pretty much gets her powers. She gets her powers the same way Captain America did. It's basically, hey, what if Peggy got it? Peggy Carter got the super soldier serum as opposed to Steve Rogers. You know, similar things happen to her than Steve, and she wakes up in the future, or she gets thawed out in the future. This is pretty much taking place at the start of when they found her in the ice, and her getting acclimated to modern life, basically. Which actually makes sense, you know, because like I said, we did not see that in the What If. We just saw her going from here to there, and like kind of kept going. So I guess if this is in that same world, then this is pretty much establishing that little in between part. We get introduced to a couple of well, actually, we get introduced to one person in that she is going to end up working with, and that being one Elizabeth Braddock, whom we know as Psylocke, but I don't believe she has her powers in this universe. But she's with someone who will be working with her. And but basically, like the crux of this issue is her adjusting to modern life and trying to stay under the radar of you know, people knowing who she is. But that apparently at the end of this issue did not happen as well as she thought it was going to. So like I said, we will see what happens with that next issue. Let's see. Next book. I'm just gonna keep it like that because I feel like if I mess with this camera, it's gonna mess up again. So, Spider Gwen, excuse me, yeah, Spider Gwen's Gwenverse #1 of, I believe it's 5. Is that the case? Yes, it is. This is another multiversal book. This is not well, similarly, but not necessarily similarly to the last book I mentioned. If you know about Spider-Verse, you kind of get the gist here. So this is basically Gwen Stacy of Earth 65 going on her own particular version of Spider-Verse because there's some oh wait, hold on a second, excuse me. Tim Seeley's writing this, art by Jody Nishijima, colors by Federico Blee, letters by VC's Ariana Mayer. And yeah, like I said, this is pretty much Gwen of Earth 65's version of Spider-Verse, because through some shenanigans of this character that we meet at the end of times, their lives end up sort of merging together in a way, unbeknownst to Spider-Gwen, as I'm going to keep calling her. I know her name is Ghost Spider, but hey, I'm gonna call her Clay. I'm gonna call her Clay. Apparently, there's a part of this that I was not entirely sure of, but then again, I didn't read that last couple of volumes of Ghost Spider because I was not aware of the fact that she was known in the Earth 65 as Ghost Spider, nor that she had the Venom symbiote, or a version of the Venom symbiote suit.
Yeah, the Venom symbiote has been around for a while.
Right.
That's actually been her full-time suit for quite a while now.
Okay.
The Ghost Spider part, I want to say they adjusted the naming of the title when they started adjusting calling her that in her Earth 65, I think it is, right?
Right.
So.
Right. Okay.
So that's a little bit more. I want to say maybe that's around the same time. But yeah, that's definitely been. Yeah, it's probably just because you haven't been really keeping up with her solo title even after they canceled it.
Right.
Unfortunately, we haven't seen much of Gwen doing solo stuff after the King in Black miniseries that came out. Remember that?
Right.
That was because that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was written by how's it, Rainbow Rowell?
Maybe. Oh, actually, no, we have seen her since then, technically, because remember the last volume of Amazing Spider-Man, where she and the Order of the Spider were trying to help.
Right. No, but I'm talking about solo stuff.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Gotcha.
Right. Like actual, like, you know, like exploring her solo stories.
I got.
So that because that King in Black story was like Spider-Gwen versus Carnage.
Okay.
Right. So that was a King in Black tie-in. But in terms of like a solo story, I'm going to Google that real quick because I apologize. I was messing around with something, so I had my hands full. I don't want to misstate who was writing that, but bottom line is I saw who was writing this. It's Tim Seeley, and I'm like, is this really going to quote unquote matter if it's not whatchamacallit, the writer who was writing the Spider-Gwen versus Carnage story? I just got to see who was writing it.
They bring in Tim Seeley for like side stuff a lot of times lately.
Say again?
I said I feel like they bring in Tim Seeley for a lot of side stuff, both on Marvel and DC side. I feel like I could be wrong about that, but the way this is being set up, it might not matter. But it's pretty much sounds like, just like I said, it's going to be her version of it's going to be a Gwen versus her version of Spider-Verse, because or more specifically, what's going on with Miles in his book, where he's going off into the multiverse and meeting all the versions of himself. Same thing
Right.
seems like it's going to be happening here. In fact, it's already happened in this book because
I apologize. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish up. I just wanted to mention the author.
Okay, so so in this issue, she ends up meeting a version of herself that is a Thor. So that which starts that off. What were you going to say?
Seanan McGuire.
Oh,
Seanan McGuire is the writer who basically picked up the reins on Spider-Gwen and really did a good job.
I feel like
on
we like
Spider-Gwen title.
Right.
She did a really good job, and because of the pandemic essentially cutting off the last volume of the full-time Spider-Gwen volume, that kind of complicated things, and then she was able to pick it up with the Carnage miniseries.
Gotcha.
So I feel like I want to jump back on Spider-Gwen's story when she's able to restart it, or if they kind of give Spider-Gwen like a new series. But I don't know, maybe this, up to you. This you tell me. Is this something I should be reading as a fan of Spider-Gwen? Or is this something that's just jumping on the multiversal train of fandom?
It kind of feels like it's jumping on the multiversal because we have seen that there are specifically lately there have been Gwen variant covers lately, so I assume this is something tied into that. Plus, we know, like I said, Miles is
just like Miles, right?
Exactly.
Just like
Miles is getting his own has his own multiversal story going on at this point. So I feel like it's pretty much just more of that, but for her, I'm surprised Gwen Poole hasn't shown up yet, and we know that's the person that's, I guess she's in the 616. I don't even know what the hell is going on with that character, but and I mean, granted, that's not Gwen Stacy, but y'all know it's silly,
right?
But regardless, but yeah, like to answer your question, I feel like that's the case. It might be jumping on the other. It seemed like it could be kind of fun meeting this, like the character that's the cause of this is kind of weird, but it could end up being fun in the long run. I'll say that.
Okay,
but it's kind of soon to tell from this one issue. Like her meeting Thor, it's kind of one of those things. Like, okay, you're really beating yourself up, and I feel like there's part of that is the plot here. But
I understand.
Yeah. And I feel like there's an underlying tone of that going into this. Whether it leads to something else, who even knows? But it could be fun. I may try to keep up on it. Last but not least is Sabretooth Number 2. Yep, here we go again. Soup. Pardon, folks watching live. Whether you hear any of this in the audio version of this, who knows? Written by Victor Lavelle, art by Leonard Kirk, colors by Rain Barreto, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So last issue, we found that Sabretooth is not the only person that was put into the pit. In fact, 5 other folks have since been put into the pit, and Sabretooth has pretty much taken over the place as his own personal king of hell, I guess. And at the beginning of this issue, we find the 5 that got dropped in being chased by Sabretooth up until a certain point where one of them kind of, I guess, toll on him. I don't know what the case is going on here. This is a weird book. But also we get an appearance by a Morlock that I don't think we've seen since the Mutant Massacre, who has had some dealing with Sabretooth. There's even a interesting, I thought about Agent 70 when I saw this part. There was a I'm Walking Here reference made in the
really
book. Yes, because this character is a New Yorker.
Okay.
And also, which also calls the question when this book is being taken place, because that particular question gets goes to seek help because of one of the 5, thanks to one of the 5 that's in the hole who reached out to this other character, but this character is trying to seek help from people on Krakoa and runs into a character that at this point is no longer on Krakoa. So I was which made me wonder, is like, when is this story being set? And I wonder if this was a story they kind of had on the shelf at a certain point before X of Swords, which probably can tell you who that character I'm talking about is, but nevertheless, it is what it is. So that's pretty much what's going on in this book. But then, well, actually, I take it back. Something happens at the end of this book with the 5, to where I don't know if they even need help anymore, because of, let's just say, some folks, some ideals may possibly be aligning here. To what end, I do not know. Because like I said, this is a weird book. So I may have to reread this book, just kind of see if there's something I might have missed on that. But
question.
Yes.
Is this something I need to read because I feel like I wanted to find out what was going to happen with all those characters that got sent to quote unquote Krakoan hell?
This does tend to partially answer that in this issue. Whether this is a required reading, I would doubt that, but it does definitely answer a question about about the pit.
Okay, because I think I remember skimming the first issue, so I'll check in on this issue. Listen, folks, we definitely have the benefits of being a comic book podcast and having access to several comic books that if we were not on a podcast we would not ordinarily have access to. So it's a privilege for us to be able to say, I'm going to skim that and see if I like that. Whereas more often than not, you'd have to be standing in a comic book store and being monitored for reading books when you should be buying them.
Absolutely. That is the last book for me, but I would, I'll probably bring up a couple more books in a minute, but definitely wanted to bring up the fact that it was either I read that book last or X-Men Legends, which is the seemingly, as I told Agent 70, the beginnings of X Factor. And if you know anything about me, I think Agent 70 in itself, for a certain point, kind of Excalibur fan, and I am curious about what that issue is potentially going to retcon, if anything.
Gotcha. I mean, I was not an Excalibur fan growing up. I mean, I definitely knew of the characters, and it was nice that Nightcrawler was off on his own, like in a different title, trying to headline that with Kate, back then Kitty Pryde.
Mm-hmm.
So so I definitely have to defer to Roddy Cat's expertise when it comes to Excalibur issues.
Gotcha. Coincidentally, Excalibur comes off of the same mutant event that I referenced in Sabretooth. That seems to be referencing.
It does. It absolutely does. In the wake of that. Mm-hmm. All righty. So if we are done with that,
we are.
Incoming Kliqs of the week.
So we don't have anything from our other folks, so it is all on us.
All right, so I definitely have a clear-cut favorite, but I'm going to mention some of my runners-up. So I definitely liked Strange Academy number 17, despite the kind of weird characterizations that we saw in it. I actually did happen to like Punisher number 1. I didn't mind it, but then again, I'm the Punisher fan on the panel.
Yeah.
Good Asian number 9 was a strong issue, especially as Pornsak Pichetshote is, like bringing his story to an end, or at least a possible end. We don't know if there's going to be a follow-up or not. But for me, I think the clear Kliq of the week is Thor number 23. A great finale to this God of Hammer storyline. I had a lot of fun reading it. Nick Klein's art and the visuals on this. It's not something that I would ordinarily call my cup of tea. I don't think Nick Klein's art is as detailed and as clean as what I generally prefer or favor, but I felt like overall the composition and the way the story flowed and the storytelling on the page was really top notch and altogether told, the parts of this book came together to tell a really good conclusion to the story and set up several things moving forward. So Thor number 23 is my click of the week.
Okay. For myself, well, one, I didn't get a chance to read Naomi the season 2, so I'm kind of bummed about that because I didn't get a chance to read the first miniseries. And I know there was an Icon and Rocket that came out this week, but apparently we did not get it. And I don't think it was out there to get from what I saw. And there was also 2 Star Wars books that came out, one of which we did get, and another one which we did not get, or at least at the time, I don't know, we might have gotten a copy of it, but did not see one when I was looking for books. So I don't know, maybe I'll do another thing if I actually do read them over the weekend. But that being said, like Superman, Son of Kal-El number 9 was definitely a potential click of the week to me, and in tandem, Trial of the Amazon and Nubia and the Amazons number 6 were definitely personally good ones for myself. I enjoyed reading both of them, but we haven't had a two-way book like that in a while, and this will not be that week for that. So I think Captain Carter was actually a vaguely interesting read, and not vaguely, but it was kind of an interesting read in the beginning because, like I said, the adjustment part was kind of the thing. Where it's going to go, don't know, but may keep track of that. So that being said, I think Superman, Son of Kal-El number 9 is definitely going to be my click of the week.
Okay.
Like I said, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Despite a thing that was kind of sad that happened in the midst of it. It was a good read. I thought it was a good, endearing read. And also kind of weird for me because there are not too many times where a DC book will be a click for the week for me because I am more of a Marvel person. If you've stayed with the show long enough, you know that. So
it happens. It's even happened to me, and I'm probably even more of a Marvel person.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Of the full panel, it's safe-ish to say that Agent 70 and I are probably the bigger Marvel peoples, and then probably Tim, and then Dirt.
Right.
So in that order. Although I don't know, so Tim would probably say.
Right. I was about to say I think it depends on fandoms.
Yeah.
I think it varies on fandoms. So.
Because I know he's definitely more in the X crowd of the books. Of the stuff. So he may be more Marvel than DC.
Right. Like I'm definitely I'm definitely both X-Men and Avengers stuff.
Yes.
Whereas you tend to veer towards the Avengers stuff, and Tim tends to veer towards the X-Men stuff. And I was always the one that brought the art stuff.
Right.
So
actually, you're more of a FF and X-Men.
That's just my old age, man.
But I'm just saying. But but I'm saying it was like
that's why I'm a Marvel guy.
Right.
I'm more of a Marvel than a DC because I cover like most of the big titles. So
right. Like I said, like Tim kind of comes from the X corner and probably veers off to some stuff. I'm coming from the Avengers and some X stuff, and there's some some FF here and there. But you are the FF coming into the X stuff and the Avengers.
Yeah, I'm the one that covers. Right, I'm the one that covers the FF base, even though I can cover the X-Men and the Avenger base.
Right. So got a little bit of a Venn diagram going on there.
There you go.
So that is clicks of the week for us. Catch them. We're going to go into the news, but first an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news. And just a quick note, we actually do have a little toy corner at the end of the show.
Okay. Solid. Yeah, we got a lot of news this week. So we're going to kind of try to breeze through some of this. First off, Jason Momoa discusses his flamboyant Fast 10 villain for the first time. So yeah, Jason Momoa shared new details about the character he'll portray in the 10th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise. He says, "I'm not going to do a Jason Momoa voice, but I'm going to do Fast 10, and that's going to be fun."
Yeah.
Exactly. Do something small. Do something small, independent over in London. So I guess he's something else he's doing. I wonder if that's that show he's doing, because isn't he doing like an Apple TV show?
He's actively on an Apple TV show right now, I think.
Right. And I don't know if this is the thing he's talking about. He might be talking about something different though. Regardless, Momoa told Entertainment Tonight about his next project during a red carpet appearance at the premiere of The Batman, probably supporting his former stepdaughter.
Right.
It's fun. I get to play the bad guy, which I haven't gotten to do for a while. Now I get to be a bad boy, a very flamboyant bad boy, a little panache. I guess he's talking about his Fast 10 character. So, which, hey, if that franchise has nothing else, there's some bits of flamboyancy amongst other things. So
salute, familia. Salute.
Next up,
Mark Ruffalo says he's, quote, passing the banner. Oh, gosh, passing the banner. So She-Hulk's Tatiana Maslany. So he seems excited to pass the torch, as I said, more accurately, the banner. And at the New York premiere of his new Netflix film, The Adam Project, Ruffalo discussed what fans can expect from She-Hulk, including lengthy scenes shared by the characters of Bruce Banner, Professor Hulk Ruffalo, and Jennifer Jen Walters / She-Hulk, played by Tatiana Maslany. He says, Maslany is freaking legendary as the She-Hulk, he told Access. I'm passing the banner onto her. There's some really good, funny, cool, long scenes between Professor and her. We've never really seen the Hulk interact with people the way he does in that show. It'll be really interesting. And that's pretty much it, but that's interesting that they may hand off the Hulk banner, as it were, in the Disney Plus shows.
Right, because I believe we did see in the teaser that he's human again at some point. So I assume something happens.
Well, no, remember he was in the credits thing for the credit scene for Shang-Chi.
Oh, right, but he
was de-hulked.
Right, that is true. You're right, and he had a I think he still had the
arm sling. Yeah,
you're right. Actually, speaking of Shang-Chi, I don't know if this is the next one. No, it's not. Okay, never mind. We got some Shang-Chi news coming up there. By the way, if you haven't seen, and I want to watch this series, Tatiana Maslany in Orphan Black, I hear she's really good because she plays a bunch of characters, which is probably how she got hired for this in the long run. But I hear great things about that series. It's on the BBC. Go check it. Anyway, Miss Marvel to arrive on Disney Plus after Moon Knight, but before She-Hulk. So I actually kind of wondered this.
That's interesting,
right? Because I thought this was the case in the anyway. So anyway, it says here that Disney CEO Bob Chapek has laid out a timeline for Marvel Studios' 2022 lineup on Disney Plus for the original series. confirming that Ms. Marvel will debut on the platform before She-Hulk, as opposed to the other way around, as some people have thought. It's long, so according to this article, it's long been known that the MCU series Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Ms. Marvel would all be premiering this year on Disney Plus, with Moon Knight kicking off things on March 30th, but that's still the case. But it was unclear when She-Hulk or Ms. Marvel would be next on the docket. And apparently this is news coming from Disney's 2022 annual shareholders webcast, where Mr. Chapek stated that, like I said, Ms. Marvel would indeed be the next Marvel show after Moon Knight, with She-Hulk later this year. So there you go. So it sounds like, I would assume, we know we're getting Moon Knight in a couple of weeks. So we'll just assume what, June, July-ish probably for Ms. Marvel, and then probably October, November sometime, probably November, or She-Hulk, kind of like Hawkeye, I'd assume. But that is me speculating.
My goodness, Moon Knight is right around the corner. Right. Unbelievable.
Yep.
How time flies when you're just kind of waiting for the next Disney Plus drop.
Yeah, and we got the Netflix. I mean, well, for those who haven't seen that stuff or
right,
the right. Marvel Netflix shows are going to hit
next weekend.
Next week, on Disney Plus, as we have already established. So
yeah, unreal.
Next up.
All right, next up. So Marvel has confirmed a big Shang-Chi Iron Fist powers theory. So Sean Walker, the visual effects supervisor for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, has confirmed the film really actually set up subtly the MCU's Iron Fist. So what he says in speaking exclusively to Screen Rant is that Shang-Chi's mother, Ying Li, and this is a spoiler for Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. So if you have not watched this, you may want to mute me or pause me until you've watched the movie, or fast forward after this storyline, after I talk about this news story. But it turns out that Shang-Chi's mother, Ying Li, was actually manipulating her chi when she fought Wenwu in the film's opening scenes. Quote, she's affecting the environment herself with her own chi, unquote, he confirmed. Meaning Ying Li was indeed tapping into the same power source associated with Iron Fist in the comics. So everyone has their chi. That's the thing, right? But it's not
really accessible.
No. What I was going to say, it hasn't been a power source in the MCU up until now. That's the gist of what I was getting at, right? It's every think of the Force, right? Every living thing has its own chi, right?
And
so
no midichlorians. What's
that?
And no midichlorians.
Right. Oh gosh, midichlorians. So dialogue in Shang-Chi suggested Ying Li was blessed by the Great Protector as champion of Ta Lo, presumably making her their version of Iron Fist. It's notable she even wears the trademark green and yellow. I noticed that too. Yeah. That she was wearing green and yellow, associated with Kun Lun's Iron Fist in these in the opening scenes.
But I feel like that's not the only thing that established that, because I feel like even when we talked about Shang-Chi, there were a couple of things that felt like, I feel like we even said that, like, yeah, they felt like they were kind of bridging the two, Ta Lo and Kun Lun, to where they could have set up Iron Fist. I feel like we said that on the show,
right? And ultimately, when we saw how they were, after we watched Shang-Chi and we saw how there were elements of other Marvel characters, namely the extra dimensional part of Shang-Chi, of Iron Fist's origin, right? Being kind of incorporated into the Shang-Chi origin, it made sense that, this could be a springboard for Kun Lun,
right?
Being another city of heaven.
Right. So this pretty much
Alo being another city of heaven, that is.
right, or maybe some extension of, we don't know, but
exactly.
Yeah. So and they're definitely, I feel like they're doing something to tie it in the books. At this point, seem like, or at least they.
So
feel
if
like
they
they're
decide
going along
to,
those
I'm sorry,
lines.
go ahead.
No, never. I was just saying that they seem like they're going along those lines anyway.
Right, but if they decide to tie into Iron Fist, they have to recast Iron Fist. That's all I need. That's all I want.
Yeah,
recast them.
The way they're going with the Netflix properties that are coming into the MCU at this point, I don't know if they're going to, but I
recast him. Kevin Feige, recast him.
Or I don't know, skip them and put Thor Pay in there. I would be fine. I'm like, oh yeah, this is
just recast Danny Rand. That's what we need.
Wait,
even if he's a side character, as as the previous holder of the Iron Fist,
right.
The way they're doing now,
right.
Just recast him.
Okay, sure. Just bring in a monk from Kunlun, maybe pay, and just go ahead and establish that. Or I don't know. I mean, granted, this would be a little unprecedented, and they'll probably do that in the comic books if they were going to do that, but I doubt it. Give it to Colleen. I don't know.
Hey, whatever. And just like I said, as long as when they include, or if they include Danny Rand at all, it's not that guy. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and you will hear no argument from a lot of other people, including myself. So, but yeah, like I said, this just pretty much goes and confirms something that a lot of people, including us, have thought was the case with that movie. Next up though, Thor: Love and Thunder isn't finished yet, it says director Taika Waititi. So apparently,
take your time. Take your time.
I mean, it's going to be coming out in July, so you can't take too much time. So
take your time. Get it right, Taika. That's all I care about.
So apparently Waititi confirmed the status of the upcoming MCU sequel in an interview with Variety on the Film Independent Spirit Awards red carpet. Still not finished, quote unquote. Says Waititi, when asked about the movie, it comes out in July, so probably the end of June, he laughs. Probably the day before the premiere, laughs. And I feel like I've watched movies that made us that pretty much actually did that. Like the movie was pretty much finished like right, but it might have been Ghostbusters, I don't remember, but it was a movie that was talking about that was pretty much had just finished right before the premiere. So
I think you're right. I think that they were talking about Ghostbusters. That was like the most recent season.
Yeah.
Of movies that made us. Shout out to Nacelle Productions.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So yeah, so that's that. And you know what, like Agent 7 said, yeah, take the time that you need and get it out there. I mean, I feel like he's built up the cachet and from Ragnarok to where we can give him that. So it should be all right. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Next up,
Star Wars. Star Wars is John. It feels weird to say Star Wars is John Favreau.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He signed an insane deal, quote unquote, after the success of The Mandalorian. He's said to have signed this lucrative deal following the success of the series. According to Puck News, Favreau was tapped to produce just one season of The Mandalorian. When the fan response came pouring in, Disney and Lucasfilm offered him an insane deal to do more that included a number of incentives and bonuses. Let's see here if there's any. All right, so there's no number involved, but all we have to say is,
yeah. And I think the article was going off of that Puck thing, whatever. I almost didn't pull this article because it was kind of going off for some hearsay, but it felt big enough to at least mention, I guess. Like, good for him, I guess. And that deal probably means that he'll probably be behind some other things in the future. Because The Mandalorian did do well, and season 2 did quite well, and Boba Fett being whatever it was. And we know we got another season of Mandalorian coming, so it's not like dude's not gonna stop working anytime soon. So yeah, good on him, I guess. Can I borrow some money? I don't know. Anyway, Star Wars Andor launches an official Twitter account. So yeah, that we know that series is supposedly still coming. We don't know when. We don't know a whole lot about it. We did get a teaser a while back, but apparently it's got a Twitter account, which potentially means that there's going to be a trailer and some news coming somewhat soon-ish. That's pretty much the only other reason why you would have a Twitter account for a property like that. And at this point, it's still private, so I guess they might have something behind the private for all that they're going to announce at some point when they unprivatize it. Like maybe, I don't know, another trailer, a date or something. So we don't know. Regardless, we got something else coming up. And that is going to be the next couple of articles.
Today's fiction.
Shush.
Right. So I'm gonna say that Roddy Cat and I are gonna team up for the next two stories, and I'll take the ad-supported story after this, because this is big, folks. This is some big stuff that dropped this week. So I think we should switch the order because the images are basically related to the trailer.
Well, the problem is that the images came out before the trailer, though.
Oh, I mean, so then we can take that in the order that you put it in, because at the end of the day, I didn't see those images until I watched the trailer.
Right, because the article that spurred this came out before the trailer did. So, yeah. And that basically is, so as Agent 70 was saying, like, yeah, there's a new Obi-Wan, some images coming from the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show that is coming up pretty soon, that reveals the new villain, Inquisitor Reva. I'm calling her Reva. It might be Reva, as some people have saying it, but I'm calling her Reva because I know a girl named Reva, spelled just like that. And Reva,
right, exactly. What's funny about that is I've only ever met a Reva with an I.
Right.
So we'll just wait. At least, I mean, we can always pronounce it, either way until it's confirmed on the show. Right. So, but yeah, it's interesting that these images are out there. But then, at the end of the day, the big news is that the first teaser trailer of Kenobi dropped this past week. What were your thoughts, Roddy Cat?
I mean, like most people, I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting this. But then when going through it and hearing the music, and as you said earlier before the show, Duel of Fates drop and everybody loses their shit, which does happen. and all the musical cues that happened in it, and seeing that new Inquisitor was a good thing. Like, people was like, oh, she's, and with all due respect, she's a very good, very pretty woman. So people were kind of thirsting on that online. But seeing that and seeing other images that came across, so we got like the Inquisitors. So we got the Grand Inquisitor. We got some Rebels action. We got some 5th and 6th brother sister folk. Well, actually 5th definitely, because we know Son Kang is playing the 5th brother. I loved it. I enjoyed the whole thing. I was like, yes. I think I watched it like 2 or 3 times.
I definitely watched it multiple times, and I'm not one of those Star Wars fans, and obviously this is where I have to defer to Roddy Cat's much more expert level of fandom when it comes to Star Wars. I'm definitely not on his level when it comes to that. I watched it. I picked up on some of the cues, but I definitely felt like the sound cues and the music cues were far stronger and meant more to me watching the trailer.
Right.
And, you could hear the mix. You could hear the music from the duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar. You could hear it. I forget what the music is called. It's like Duel of the Heroes, I think it is.
Something like
And yeah, or Battle of the Heroes, something like
Battle
that.
of-
You know, like
yeah.
if you look up the soundtrack, you'll see the track for that particular music, and you know they remix that in with a little bit of something else, some of the Star Wars chimes that we're all familiar with,
Right.
and we get Duel of the Fates. Like the opening of Duel of the Fates literally made me sit up in my chair.
Yeah, it has long been said that the music in Star Wars is pretty much its own character, as an integral character as much as anybody or anything else in that universe, and it's true. Like I said, Duel of Fates comes on and people are like it. That's just instantly strikes chord. Like even people notice that the opening of when Obi-Wan came on screen in A New Hope, that music cue was also in here. So longtime Star Wars fans kind of got a lot of that, and of course there are Easter egg videos out there about that, which you can find a couple of in the show notes if you're so inclined to look at that for this trailer. But watch the trailer first, because it is a pretty good trailer, with a lot of good images in it, definitely. Like I said on Twitter earlier, I was like, I was more hyped about Kenobi coming out of watching that trailer than I had been prior to. It doesn't really take much, honestly, if you're a Star Wars fan. Like I said, Duel of Fates was enough. Will kind of get you there. But like I said, this trailer was well cut.
Absolutely, it was pretty wild. Like, I just remember, I it's such a visceral reaction, like making you sit up and take notice. And that was a masterful stroke on the person, by the person or people that cut that particular trailer and and set the music for it. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've talked about that, I'll move on to the next story.
Well, before you do that, because one other thing to mention, which I guess might be a known quantity, Kenobi's is set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, according to this article, which we kind of knew. So it is basically his exile on Tatooine watching Luke, because we get shades of all that in there. So that kind of thing. All right, now then.
Right. So, okay, next up. So, in interesting news, I did not know this. Disney Plus is going to add a cheaper ad-supported option to the streaming service. So Disney has announced an ad-supported subscription option for its Disney Plus streaming service, which will be available in addition to the service without ads. The new option is expected to arrive later in 2022 this year, with plans for it to be available internationally by 2023. Further details, including pricing and an official launch date, have not yet been announced. Wow. What is the current price point?
I think it's $14.99 a month or something like that. I'm not sure, honestly.
I was about to say, you got to go the yearly one. You got to go the yearly route. You have to. That's the only way to do it.
So I agree with you on that, but and I normally would in a situation like that. And I can't remember which one I did of that, to be totally honest. Because normally, yeah, if there's a yearly option, I would absolutely go on that, because I don't like having monthly bills of stuff like this. I don't know. I would have to look, actually. The curiosity here is, and I want to say, oh, you know what? And I just thought about it, because I just found out that I got Disney Plus through my cable service. So I don't think I'm almost fairly certain I'm not worried about that anymore because of that. And I guess, but that also brings the question, which I was going to get to, was the fact that I'm curious with this ad-supported option. I wonder with things like that, because you can get Disney Plus through like your cell phone service and with certain cell phone companies. And I wonder if they're going to bounce people to this ad-supported one or keep it the way it is in that situation.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I don't know if you've ever dealt with the ad-supported Hulu side, because that's what I have, because I don't subscribe to Hulu. I use somebody else's.
Unfortunately, I just re-upped on Hulu for that. Yes, and I did get the ad-supported one.
Right, which sucks. But what can you do?
Yeah. And actually, hopefully there might be a way to circumvent that. I just thought about it in the aforementioned cell phone service way, but I have to look into that. But regardless, so this is going to be interesting. Change. I don't think we have any pricing information at this point. Just
nope. No, the article did not say it. I actually read it out loud, saying that there's no news on that yet.
Right.
At least in this article, there may be some now, but definitely as of the writing of the article that we're talking about, no news yet on that.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything updated on that particular point. But yeah, Disney Plus going the Hulu route. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't happened before now, honestly. To be honest. So if we get any news on pricing, we'll let folks know. I mean, yeah, ad supported. The whole ad supported thing is kind of tricky because that's kind of how they get you. You know, like people don't like ads, and they know you'll pay more for having ads, for not having ads. Hence the Hulu model. But yeah, I don't know. That's a weird thing. So anyway, but it is big enough news. So it'll serve some purpose. I'm sure there are some people who don't mind ads as much, and it'll be all right with this, depending on.
I guess.
Yeah, like I said, ads. I don't have the most adversity towards ads. If it's too many of them, then yeah, that kind of is a bother, and Hulu kind of skirts that line to being a little bit too much. Because one, I end up.
Oh yeah, I was about to say the Crunchyroll ads are the worst.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Those are awful. I'm probably going to become, due to the news that we talked about the last couple of weeks about the merger, I'm probably going to be a Crunchyroll subscriber before too long. But the Crunchyroll ads are terrible. They're the longest and the worst. They're so repetitive.
Yeah, I feel like Twitch ads are kind of like that too, but that's kind of per channel basis, and that's a separate thing. And I've been Crunchyroll subscriber long enough that I totally forgot that they do have an ad thing that you can't.
Yeah, unless you're watching on your computer, there's the workaround.
Right.
If you're watching on your computer, there are no ads.
Right. Well, I mean, I have the subscription either way, so yeah, you're right. But
right.
Yeah.
That's a convenient workaround if all you need is an HDMI cable to plug into your computer or an adapter.
Right.
Then that's not the worst thing in the world. But if all you want to do is sit down and fire up your Fire Stick or something, it makes you think twice.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh wait. No, that's right, because we said that doesn't work anymore for the Fire Stick, because you could Chromecast it to your Fire Stick, but I don't think it works for that anymore. But it does, I think, still work on Chromecast. It's weird.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
All right, next up. Oh, you got next.
Yeah. Avengers Infinity actress joins Margot Robbie's Barbie movie. Says here Ariana Greenblatt. I believe she's also in that Borderlands movie upcoming. Let's see. Yeah, she's going to join that Barbie movie with Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. Don't know what the plot is. Don't know what her role is. I don't think. Maybe she's going to be. Well, actually, I don't even know how old she is at this point. Oh, that's what that was. I was wondering because they said Infinity Wars. I'm like, who is this? Who is this person? She was the one that played the young Gamora. Okay, got it. Yeah, don't know anything else about that outside of she's attached to this.
Next up, and I had a lot of fun with this particular story. So the trailer for the Super Pets animated movie, DC League of Super Pets, right, dropped, and we find out that Keanu Reeves lends his voice to be the Dark Knight Batman in this animated movie.
Whoa.
And it is not surprising. Remember, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Crypto, the Super Dog, and Kevin Hart is Ace the Bat Hound, right? So we get a little bit of comedy there. But Batman, voiced by Keanu Reeves, you never knew, I never knew, nobody ever knew that this is what we needed until we got it.
I have not watched this trailer yet, but I'm
Are you
very curious.
serious?
Yeah, because like I said, when I pulled this, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to check this out. But
We were watching this after the show, folks. You know, we'd be taking off YouTube right now if we watched it now. But
That's true.
suffice to say, it's pretty impressive, the voice work.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, it's kind of amusing. Let's put it to other. Yeah, and The Rock and Kevin Hart, them playing against each other again and something else. Whatever, sure, okay.
Right. I mean, I could do it. Honestly, I could do without them.
Yeah.
I would much rather have Keanu Reeves playing an animated Batman than The Rock and Kevin Hart running around, you know, acting the fool.
Right. Yeah, which I guess is probably why they got him voicing Batman in this, because it's like, well, we know they can kind of take it off because they know that, you know, it's going to be more about Crypto and Ace as opposed to.
And now I can't wait until the show ends so we can play that trailer. All right, next up.
DC Blue Beetle adds Bruna Marquezine, Belisa Escobedo, and Harvey Guillén to its cast. I apologize if I botched up anybody's name. According to the Wrap, Blue Beetle has found its female lead in Brazilian actress Bruna Marquezine, who plays Penny, Jaime Reyes' love interest in the film, while Escobedo has been cast as Jaime's younger sister, Milagros Reyes. What We Do in the Shadows star Harvey Guillén has also been cast, though the details about his role has yet to be disclosed. Yeah, there's a Cobra Kai person that's going to also be in here. Oh, that's the lead character of Jaime Reyes. And I believe this is actually, they did move this back up to theaters as opposed to HBO Max. So yeah, I guess they have enough faith in this to put it in the theaters as opposed to keeping it with the original plans whenever that's going to be. So okay,
Next up, The Flash, Black Adam, Aquaman 2, and more. See their release dates shuffled. Oh, yeah. Let me open up this article. Goodness gracious.
I wish I had put it after that DC Pets article because that's actually involved in this in a way.
Right. So Variety reported the full update. So to summarize, the new DC movie release plan looks like this. The League of Super Pets does not come out until July 29th, 2022. Black Adam does not come out until October 21st, 2022. Shazam 2 does not come out until December 12th, 2022. Aquaman 2 comes out in March of 2023, March 17th of 2023, and the Flashpoint movie comes out June 23rd, 2023. So Black Adam kind of gets the shaft and gets bumped back 3 whole months. I don't know if that's production related or if they just want to avoid the summer movie season or avoid any Marvel movies that might be out at that time.
Well, according to this article, that League of Super Pets is taking Black Adam's old spot.
Right, but it's animated, so it's a little different.
Yeah. So I don't know. I saw somebody speculating that it might have something to do with a recent Warner Brothers merger with the Discovery Channel. I doubt that's the case. But who knows? You know, and I don't know why that would cause these to shuffle like this. That kind of doesn't make any sense. Well, at least from this perspective, but I don't know. I'm not an insider, so
yeah, neither of us are insiders. We're just curious because these movies have been scheduled for a long time, and the last time we checked, they had been at least filmed on schedule. But obviously, there are reshoots as well as effects and music to be dealt with. So, sometimes that adds to the time needed to finish, to provide a finished product.
I feel like, although this might have been aligned in the order of the way they were supposed to come out, but I feel like this feels like they're scaling up in a way, because it's like as far as confidence is concerned in the movie, because we know that first Shazam movie did pretty decently. We know Aquaman did pretty great that first time, that first movie, and the Flash one's still kind of up and up, but that was kind of, it's building up to that to presumably be a big one because of what the story is in that. So Black Adam, that was kind of and the fact that Shazam 2 is being pushed to closer to Christmas, which the first one was, I believe, was around Christmas. I don't know if they're going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter. It still kind of makes somewhat sense there for some strange reason. I don't know. I'm not mad at any of these being pushed, because I wasn't really, like I said, Aquaman 2 I wouldn't be surprised about. I finally saw that first Shazam movie. I thought it was pretty decent. Flash at this point I can kind of give a take, but I'm, because of dude, but outside of that, I am kind of curious about what's going to happen with a couple of those movies. So I don't know about you. So anyway.
No, it's all right. I'm not real. I don't know what to make of these movies, so that's why I kind of left it at that.
Yeah. Apparently, this article says there's a couple of Willy Wonka movies. There's a new Willy Wonka movie that got pushed. Who cares? And the Meg number 2. Why are they making another one of those? Anyway, next up. Excuse me. Hey, guess what, folks? Batman came out this weekend and did pretty well.
Right. So we did not go into movie protocol last week, but I did eventually make my way to see it.
Yes.
And I can tell everyone, and minor spoilers here, so I'm going to ring the spoiler bell for the Batman. So spoilers incoming in 3, 2, 1. So we all know that the movie is long. It's really 3 hours. It really is 3 hours. The problem is it doesn't have to be. And if you've listened to any other podcasts leading up to our show, you've heard people complain about the length, and in my opinion, they are not wrong. This movie could have been 2.5 hours, even 2 hours and 20 minutes, because there's a lot of excess. I think Matt Reeves could have trimmed off this. I think it was a good attempt at a new take on the Batman. I feel like that last hour, that last 45 minutes specifically, is where I struggled with some of the choices he made and where the story ended up going. If you felt like the movie reminded you, if you felt like the Batman movie in the trailers reminded you of Fincher's Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, guess what? You were right, because that is a gigantic influence on this movie.
Interesting.
I thought that was when the movie was at its best. I think the movie was at its worst in the last 45 minutes when, for whatever reasons, they decided to make the decisions they made and they went in the directions that they went. So it wasn't great. It definitely is along the lines of Batman Begins, because I always thought that last act of Batman Begins was really weak. But a lot of people liked the movie, and as Roddy Cat mentioned, oh no, he's about to mention. Did you haven't read the next story yet, right?
Not yet.
Go ahead.
But, well, I was gonna say a couple of this, because like we talked before the show, was that the length of it kind of. I'm going with
it scared off everyone else on the panel.
There was that too, yes, but also it felt like I think, as I said before the show, sounds like it's lengthy in the way that the Snyder Cut was lengthy and probably could have done with some cuts, but did not get. I know that's going to draw the ire of the Snyder Cut, folks. I don't care. But it sounds, I have not seen it, the Batman myself, so I don't know, but the way Agent 7 has described it sounds like that sounds like that's the case. It is Matt Reeves' Snyder Cut.
I guess I just felt like there's just a lot of story, whereas I feel like the Snyder Cut, the Snyder cut was, gosh, I don't even want to revisit that, to be honest. I'd rather just move on.
That's fair.
Yeah, just talk about the story because it's an interesting tidbit on the money
Well,
that was in.
Okay, well, yeah. So I will say that. Well, yeah. So to finish off the story, the numbers were as 128.5 million domestically, and the final total came to be 134 million after a budget after Sunday's performance. That's obviously it did pretty good. Sounds like it's did better than expected. I guess surprise to no surprise. But next up, the Batman.
Well, I would say
Go ahead.
no. I was gonna say, I was about to say I'll take the next story.
Okay, sure.
But just to talk about the money, for an opening movie in what's probably going to be the first of a trilogy, or at least what's the term for a 2-film sequence? Is it duology?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, let's just say it's the first of probably, the first Batman, the first Batman movie from Matt Reeves with sequels likely to come,
Sure.
right? And I guess it performed okay. The 3-hour length probably knocked out an extra showing at a movie theater.
Mm.
I think it's tough to compare this to No Way Home opening because No Way Home opened to $260 million. That's not, for the third movie, which is like the culmination of several movies, including all the Avengers movies.
That's a little different.
That's not, yeah, exactly. That's not a fair comparison. That's what I was getting at.
Wait, somebody actually made that comparison?
No, but I think people have, anecdotally to me,
gotcha.
asked me, so how did this stack up to the box office of No Way Home? I said that's not fair.
Right. I got you.
Because this is the first of what's probably going to be a couple Batman movies from Matt Reeves. So, people want to hear a little bit of word of mouth. They know what they're getting with No Way Home, and with some of the spoilers, they wanted the stuff that was coming out in No Way Home. So,
yeah, I feel like they're at the very least going to try for a trilogy. Whether we definitely know there's a second one coming, or potentially coming. But yeah, I feel like they're going to try for a trilogy. Just kind of go ahead and do that out like normal.
Right. All right. So in follow-up news to the opening of the Batman, one of the 2 HBO Max spin-off series based on the Batman will directly connect to the infamous Arkham Asylum. Speaking to the Toronto Sun, director Matt Reeves teased that fans can expect to see more of the sinister Gotham landmark. When asked what his plans are following the release of the highly anticipated film The Batman, Reeves noted that while one of the spin-off series will focus on Colin Farrell's Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, and the other is more mysterious. He says, quote, "We're doing the Penguin series and we're doing another series that connects to Arkham," unquote. And that's a vague description. It's the first time any kind of information on the second planned HBO Max series has been formally revealed. I think the rumor was that it was going to be a GCPD series, right. But it looks like it's been converted into an Arkham Asylum series, which I think is going to be better because I think there's already been the Gotham TV show, which was kind of more of a GCPD centric story, which I never watched.
I did, which brings us to the next story. Unless you got something else to,
Right. I mean, I would just say that in terms of the overall movie, I had a good time watching it, but that last 45 minutes to an hour was tough. I appreciated, believe it or not, I actually appreciated Pattinson's work, and Zoe Kravitz was pretty good. I don't think they gave her enough to do, and there's some plot point holes in the movie. Mm-hmm. Where I was kind of scratching my head like, how did she get here? Why is she back here? What's been going on? So I'm looking forward to when I can discuss this with Roddy Cat and find out what he thinks about it. All right. Anyway, next up.
Wow, that was hopefully perfectly timed. Going off of what Agent 70 just said in that article, there are the first details of the Batman Penguin spinoff, which we don't necessarily need to go into because that's pretty much what it is. Colin Farrell is going to be back playing the Penguin in his own show. So going back to what I was alluding to, like, or alluding off of what Agent 70 said, we already got Gotham, and that pretty much, well, I don't know how it ended up, but that kind of went the way of not only being a GCPD story, but kind of setting up the Penguin. Now, yes, they're kind of a different version of the Penguin, but there's been several different versions of the Penguin. I basically said I feel like we kind of got whatever this is going to be in Gotham. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to be different, and I have not seen the Batman to know how different this Penguin is from what the Gotham version of Penguin is. Still, doesn't seem necessary. But what do I know? Next up, I'll just go ahead and take this one. Gotham Knights pilot cast Carrie Kelley, Duela Dent, and more. So yeah, the CW Gotham Knights pilot has officially found its leads. It was announced that Olivia Rose Keon of certain things and Navia Robinson and Oscar Morgan have all joined the project, which is expected to begin production next month. Keegan will play the anti-hero Duela Dent, which is aka the Joker's daughter. Robinson will play Carrie Kelley, and Morgan will play an originally created character named Turner Hayes. They joined previously announced cast members Fallon Smythe as Harper Rowe and Tyler DiChiara as Cullen Rowe. So yeah, if you know those characters, this maybe it's something. I think I saw Tim tweeting on Twitter saying that he's probably more interested in the show because of this casting.
Because of
these castings, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good for Tim. I'm glad that he likes it. I have two things to say about this. One, when I hear the Gotham Knights title, all I can think of is Gotham Knights, unlike Gotham Days.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a bad Aladdin reference, right? And two, this is yet another CW show I am not going to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of CW shows, Naomi, I believe, is back, and I totally forgot that it was back. I think it came back a couple of weeks ago. Maybe try to catch up on that, and along with reading whatever story. Next up, Titans.
All right.
Oh, wait,
I was about to say, I think I got this one.
Yeah, this is you. Sorry.
It's okay. So Titans season 4, right? Goodness gracious, they renewed this.
Mm-hmm.
So I know people like the dark, gritty, grim, grown-up Titan stuff, but this ain't for me. But people seem to like it. Titan season 4 has been in the works for a while, and the official episode count is now out in a post to social media by Titans director Boris Majovsky. And it's going to run for 12 episodes, a dozen episodes, according to the director. So he shared some behind-the-scenes photos in a post to Instagram, and he said in a reply to a comment, that the episode count is going to be 12. So they are working on it as we speak. Prep starts actually for season 4, so it's in the works.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised actually that the Doom Patrol is also still going on show as far as I know. So that's interesting, I guess. Anywho's next up, Harley Quinn showrunner shares big season 3 update. Apparently they just finished their first audio mix for the upcoming season. Call your friends, he says. It's happening. I've not seen any of this show. I hear good things. And actually I've seen things. I don't know, good or bad, I've seen things online, to put it that way. So yeah, Patrick Schumacher, I guess, who's the showrunner, revealed in 2021 that recording have officially 2021. That recording have officially begun on at season 3. Okay, sure. First look at season 3 was unveiled a few months later during the EDC fandom, including voiceover and unfinished animation. Okay, so yeah, sounds like they're well on their way to the season 3 stuff. Next.
So, spoilers for the season 7 finale of DC's Legends of Tomorrow, because in the episode, a star exits the Arrowverse series in this season 7 finale. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. If you happen to be a fan of DC's Legends of Tomorrow and have not yet watched the season 7 finale, because there is a big departure. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't know who it is. I don't care.
I do know who it is.
Shots fired. I do know who it is based on this article. That's the only reason I have this information.
Right. I know who it is because this person was on the show when I last watched it, which was probably a good 3 or 4 seasons ago.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, yeah, I think 4 seasons where I kind of got off of it because of the crossover and some changes and whatnot. I'm looking at this image. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see the article. I'm looking at this this image they have in the article. I don't know if this is the cast, current cast, but if it is, I only recognize one person in this character, because I know there's some people that's come and gone off of this thing a couple of ago, and we know Donald Faison just joined the cast. Spoiler alert. He's Booster Gold at the end in the same episode. So, you know, somebody leaves, somebody gets replaced, and that's kind of been a thing in this show for a good while. So, but if this is the cast, like I said, I only know one person, and that's like the person who's been there for the longest time. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, okay. I still maintain that show's fun, but even though I haven't really, you know, it's kind of silly. Not silly, but it's fun. But I haven't watched it in a while, so maybe that's changed. Next up, Rosario Dawson's DMZ sets HBO Max premiere date with first trailer. So we kind of found out that DMZ, which is apparently a Disney, not Disney, a DC Comics graphic novel. Somewhere I don't know anything about it, but it's starring Rosario Dawson. Yeah, it's based on a DC Vertical comic series by Brian Wood and Riccardo Braccielli.
You never saw it on the stands in the comic book store?
I may have, but I've never picked it up or looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, it had a very striking cover.
Right.
You know, like seeing the 3 letters DMZ, you know, in very big block letters was very striking to me. I never picked up the book, but I had an idea of what the story was, and unfortunately, it's very timely.
Right. Yeah. It says here that it focuses on the demilitarized Manhattan, following the second American Civil War. It's coming from producer Ava DuVernay, Paul Garns, and Roberto Patino, the latter of whom is the series creator. So yeah. And we have a date of arrival for March 17th, which is next week. So yeah, there you go.
Next up, so in some sad news, I mean, for those who subscribe to Paramount Plus, it probably doesn't mean a thing, but Star Trek: The Next Generation is leaving Netflix very soon, in an article written by our very own @TimDog98. So let's see here. So the Trek Core Twitter account shared a screenshot from the Star Trek: The Next Generation homepage on Netflix, and the page states that the last day to watch the show on Netflix is April 1st in the United States. So, as expected, the Star Trek franchise is rapidly consolidating towards becoming a Paramount Plus exclusive, and yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but at the same time, you know,
Hey, boo!
at the same time, I understand, but also in tandem with that, there's always a chance that it comes back to Netflix at some point, because I noticed that I think Batman Begins and The Dark Knight came over to or are coming over to Netflix for a brief time, so it doesn't count out possibly going, you know, things going back and forth, but you know, we'll see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm. Also, and granted, this could also change. No, I guess not. Oh wait, so Yeah. So okay. So from what I'm seeing, yeah, I thought it was on Hulu also, but apparently that's not the case. And I thought it was on Hulu and Amazon, but I guess that's probably not the case. Um, I mean, yeah, it makes some sense. Because they're trying to consolidate all that stuff, and I mean, hell, what else is there to watch on Paramount Plus outside of Star Trek stuff? And there's a load of that, and well, maybe some other CBS, some Viacom properties,
Right.
Paramount and Viacom properties.
Right.
That you
If you're
might
one of
not
those
miss.
people that likes that show Yellowstone, I think that's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, or some old BET stuff, or whatever the hell is on there. It's kind of funny because I saw there was an ad for Paramount Plus that had a show that's not even on there anymore, which is that All Rise show with Simone Missick, and I was like, that show's not even on there anymore. None of it, because it's on Hulu now. So I don't. It's like they might need to.
Is that show still going on?
I think so. I'm not sure. I know there's a CBS show, but I'm not sure if it's still going on because I don't watch really live TV that much. But
Gotcha.
But I believe there was like 3 seasons, or is 3 seasons, something like that. Maybe 3 seasons. So I guess it is still going on, or was. Shout out to Simone Missick. So yeah, so like I said, yeah, bad news if you're watching Next Generation on any place other than Paramount Plus. Good. I mean, if you already got, chances are, if you're enough of a Trek fan, you probably got this stuff on DVD or Blu-ray, so you don't care either. And you can watch it anytime you want. So, other Trek news actually. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds trailer was also released this week, Wednesday to be exact. It is a 10-episode first season, and it's going to debut on Paramount Plus on May the 5th. Which, as I said earlier with Star Trek Picard, well, actually, so this is going to be starting on May 5th, which I guess the last episode of Picard is going to be after that. Or around, so they're going to start. So this is going to start when Picard is ending, or around the time to start. If you don't know anything about this show, it is basically, I guess, technically, it's kind of a spin-off to Discovery because it's like Captain Pike with the Enterprise in the early days, but after Enterprise, the show, and before the TOS, when we find out that Pike's gets almost not critically injured, but injured enough to where he's out of commission. So yeah, I guess this is the continuing versions of that. So it's him, Rebecca Romaine, who I believe was also in Discovery for a second, and Ethan Peck as Spock, which I think also was in Discovery. So yeah, this is definitely a Discovery spinoff. Yeah, but in the early days of the Enterprise. So cool. Next
up in more, and no pun intended, news, Doctor Who prepares to give the 13th Doctor an epic farewell. Jodie Whittaker is due to leave Doctor Who in a series of specials later this year, and the show's executive producer promises that she will have a worthy exit, as well as Whittaker showrunner Chris Chibnall and executive producer Matt Strevens will also be leaving the show. The final story is a massive feature-length epic. It was huge to shoot with lots of surprises for fans of all ages. Jodie gets a really good send-off. I think it will push everybody's buttons according to Strevens. Let's see if there's a date on this. It just says later this year in the article. Right, so right now, actually it says here, the Doctor Who special Legend of the Sea Devils airs this spring on BBC One, UK, and BBC America, but I guess the finale is going to be later this year.
Yeah, that's kind of usually how they play that. So okay, cool. The Boy star Anthony Starr arrested, given suspended prison sentence. So it says Anthony Starr from The Boys has been arrested and given. He got served 12 months for assaulting a chef in Spain, according to the Daily Mail. He was working on a project with Guy Ritchie when he ran into some trouble. Isn't that always the way? While in Casablanca, the actor punched some dude in a pub. The chef explained that he was struck twice and had a glass smashed in his face, like some old movie western. That is my editorialization, not this article's. Star got thrown out, but but apparently the situation got ramped up. Long story short, sounds like dude did a do you know who I am situation.
And somebody said Zach Morris. Oh no!
That's funny.
I mean, that's who I always thought he looked like.
He kind of
but
does.
I've heard other people say otherwise. I'm like, no, he does, man.
He kind of. No, I can see it. I can totally see it.
Is that?
Yeah, no, I can totally see it. You're right. But yeah, so it sounds like his prison sentence was being suspended on the condition that he doesn't commit another crime in 2 years. Boy, it must be nice to be white.
It's true, and I was going to say, and an actor of some repute, repute.
Yes. But yeah, that's the thing. I guess he's going to be still on the show more than likely, and this is just whatever. That's Next up.
Yeah, pretty much my reaction to that news as well. So next up, so I don't know if you've watched any of the Diabolical animated shorts.
Any of the boys, including
so I watched like the first couple just out of curiosity. I was like, I can get back to this if I really need to. But apparently I might have to fast forward to the last one. So the Boys Diabolical's finale is canon and connects to season 3. So The Boys Diabolical has an unexpected tie-in with The Boys Season 3, plus a final episode that is canon to the flagship show. In a recent interview with Variety, The Boys showrunner Eric Kripke shared more details about how The Boys animated spin-off is connected to Amazon's mainline series. So he revealed that Diabolical has a canonical tie-in to The Boys Season 3, which will give audiences a deeper understanding of the next season before it's released on Prime Video in June. And all right, so there's some setup here. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it has some. It's an episode with a bit of Homelander backstory. So I guess I'll be skimming this. I mean, I watched. I was like, it's, I didn't have the patience for the blood splatter and gore, which everyone loves with The Boys.
However, Invincible, A-okay.
Yeah.
Which bring that back. Hopefully, well, I know we already talked that they're at some point they're going to start on that. We don't know. Next up though, Maggie and Negan getting Walking Dead TV show because they definitely got to ring that franchise for everything it's worth, according to some people on the internet. But yeah, sounds like it's going to be set in zombie infested New York. If you don't know where The Walking Dead is about at this point, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's because you know what it's based off of. Let's see. It says here that Lauren Cohen stars as Maggie, formerly The Hilltop, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is reprising his role as Negan, the former leader of the Villainous Saviors, who since formed a parental bond with Lydia, the daughter of the Whisperer leader Alpha. I don't know what anything that means because I've never watched or read The Walking Dead. But yeah, there's another show. I don't even know if the other spinoff show is still going on, but hey, more Walking Dead for those who want it. Next. Anime Corner!
Oh, we are in the anime corner of the show, so that means I should pull up something appropriate. And I promise to get some more audio clips to supplement the two that I've been using. So first up, Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia creators share their love for Dr. Stone, which is another anime and manga. So give me a second to get this open.
I hear good things about that one.
So multiple Shonen Jump manga authors release messages praising the Dr. Stone manga and congratulating its creators for completing the series. So in Viz Media's latest roundup of messages from Shonen Jump manga authors, the creators of several of the aforementioned popular manga series, including Black Clover, got together to express their love for writer Riichiro Inagaki and artist Boichi's sci-fi adventure Dr. Stone, which concluded its serialization on March 7th. Quote, I was overwhelmed by the passion every week. Inagaki Sensei and Boichi Sensei, congratulations, wrote Jujutsu Kaisen creator Gege Akutami. My Hero Academia author Kohei Horikoshi, who previously used the column to recommend his new favorite movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. No surprise there. Offered similar praise for Dr. Stone. He wrote, constantly in a state of being excited. Thank you so much, Inagaki Sensei and Boichi Sensei. Unquote. Horikoshi said. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've heard some pretty good things about Dr. Stone. I'm probably gonna check it out at some point. Science-based anime manga, you know. So yeah, cool beans. Next up, Dragon Ball Super. Actually, I think I'm going to take both of these. No, never mind. No, I'll stick to this one. Dragon Ball Super shares a new look at Broly's comeback. I thought it was Broly with 2 L's, but I might be probably wrong. Somebody's gonna boo me for that. I don't care. And I think some people say Broly. I don't know which it is. I don't care. Dragon Ball Super promises it will show fans a new side of Gohan and Piccolo, but the pair won't be the only ones going to war. Everyone from Goku to Vegeta have their hands busy when Dragon Ball Superhero goes live. Even Broly, who will be getting in on the action, and we begin a close-up at the Saiyans' return. The update was nestled within the movie's new trailer, and to say it was brief, but puts things lightly. Yeah, sure, I might have rushed that sentence, but that's fine. During one scene in the trailer, blah, 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 you know what? There's a close-up of Broly in here. You can see the, if you go to the show notes, you can check out the image, which you can see on if you're watching the video version, I'm sure there's a trailer that I missed on that. I just want to see the thing. Actually, even if I watched it right now, because I'm still haven't watched Super or finished watching Super, so I'm behind. But it says here that Broly looks the same as he did in Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, so fans don't have to worry about any design changes. He's got a scar, blase, blase, blase. Hey, guess what? It's Broly. Broly, all over the place. Next.
Love it. So, Spy X Family's Tatsuya Endo follows up the release of his Dragon Ball anniversary cover by releasing a sketch of one of Goku's original antagonists. So, the art of Dragon Ball's Emperor Pilaf. Just a day after Endo's entry into the Dragon Ball Super Gallery project was released, the acclaimed manga author Tatsuya Endo also released a sketch of Emperor Pilaf and his followers, the dog ninja Shu and the technologically inclined Mai, through his personal Twitter account. So Roddy Cat may have that up.
Mm-hmm.
Pilaf. Oy.
Yeah. It always tripped me out when, especially, was it Reservation of Frieza? No, it wasn't Reservation of Frieza. Battle of Z, one of those where they got de-aged. I'm sitting here like, why bring this character?
Yeah.
They're like, why keep these characters around? They serve their purpose. They didn't need to come back, and now you've de-aged them so they could be around for. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They were comic relief, to say the least. Because I think they did have a small role in Reservation of Frieza also, but that's neither here nor there. It has nothing to do with this, but it does have to do with next one's story is Spy. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Spy X Family, Spy Times Family, or Spy Family? I know some people go the whole Hunter x Hunter route. I again don't care. Spy X Family or Spy Times Family uncovers new art ahead of anime's premiere. So yeah. The new art depicts the dual nature of the series' main protagonists, the 3 members of the Forger family. While they appear to be a normal, happy family at first glance, a reflection that shows their true identities is seen below. And it kind of goes into, this article kind of goes into the description of the image therein. I'm actually kind of looking forward to this series. I've heard good things about it. I don't know if there's a manga about it. Oh, yes, there was, because apparently it says here that yes, there was a manga and it was in Shonen Jump Plus. And I was looking for when this anime is coming out, which I think is April. I think that sounds about right. See, new poster confirms that the anime adaptation will premiere in Japan on April 9th. Crunchyroll previously announced that we'll stream the series outside of Japan, though is yet to confirm whether the show will premiere on this platform. Probably be a simulcast if that's the case, or it'll probably be shortly after that if that's the case. So there won't be any dubbing, so yay. Or at least at this point. Next up, Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans will return to Japanese TV with a special edition broadcast featuring a new animation and music. So Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans is returning to Japanese TV. The official Twitter account for the series announced a brand new special edition broadcast of the beloved anime series. The new cut of the series will condense its story down from 50 episodes to just 9. Despite the reduced runtime, the new broadcast is set to feature, quote, new animation cuts, though the announcement does not clarify if these will be entirely new scenes or reanimated versions of previous content. The abridged version of the story will concentrate primarily on the mercenary group Tekaden and its members. The new release will also feature a new opening sequence and theme song, Blaze, which is performed by the Japanese rock band Man with a Mission. Gonna make a change, are you? Iron-Blooded Orphans originally premiered in 2015 and is the 14th entry in anime studio Sunrise and Bandai's genre-defining Mobile Suit Gundam franchise. Yeesh. It seems like it's been more than that, but then again, I guess that's you're counting newer entries and not like remakes and shit like that. So I've never finished Iron-Blooded Orphans, Iron-Blooded Orphans, because it felt like it was kind of slow. It started off kind of slow, but I may go back and finish it. I do love me some good Gundam stuffs.
Gonna make a change.
It's so silly. Next up, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba 3rd Anniversary Festival releases flashy new visual. So yeah, the latest arc of Demon Slayer may have come to a close, but it's not stopping the Mugen train from trucking along, with the next big thing for the franchise being a 2-day Demon Slayer Festival, anime 3rd Anniversary celebrations set for April 16th and 17th. To celebrate the event, the key visual was released today, featuring all the lead Slayers and the 2 main Hashira looking as flashy as always. And oh, Rengoku's on here. God damn it, don't do that. God damn it.
Wait, so you finished Demon Slayer, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The anime, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of slightly curious about trying to find the manga somewhere, but at this point I'm more anime focused on certain things. But yeah, this article goes on to say that the latest arc, the Entertainment District arc, began airing on Japanese TV on December 5th and streamed on Crunchyroll shortly after, like I said, simulcast. It's all on Crunchyroll, and the staff at UFO Table, which is the production company behind it, will return for the Salt Smith Village arc, as we have talked about previously. And the cast reprising their roles, but there's no date confirmed for it yet.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, so we're going to transition over to some comic book news, folks.
Yes, but somehow still managed to get to stay into anime corner. Jump Festa announces first ever international panels streams for One Piece, My Hero Academia, Boruto, and more. So, publisher Shueisha Inc. is offering international fans the chance to finally watch panels from its Shonen Jump-focused Jump Festival convention for the first time in the event's history. Let's see. For the first time ever, Jump Festival will provide archived footage of their annual event for international fans to enjoy. Jump Festa 22 took place in Tokyo December 18th and 19th, 2021. I do remember when that happened because I think we did talk about some news that came out of it. And hosted a variety of panels revolving around the magazine's most popular titles, including the aforementioned My Hero Academia, One Piece, Boruto, etc., etc. 15 panels from Jump Festa 22 will be available for global streaming through the Shonen Jump's official YouTube channel from March 7th, which, hey, guess what? It's right there. It's now, folks.
It's available now, yeah.
Yep. At 7 a.m. PST until March 21st at basically 8 o'clock PST in the AM, by the way. The presentations will be available with English subtitles. And despite the international popularity of many of these series, official live streams and recordings from the event were previously IP locked. That's right. That is true. I do remember that also, hearing about that.
Mm-hmm.
And were only accessible to fans located within Japan, or unless you had a VPN and knew where to look. So yeah, there is that. Enjoy that, folks. Next up.
Alrighty. Next up, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R announced for PS5 and PS4. So this is one of the world's most popular anime franchises, and it's coming to PlayStation. Hold on, I'm getting the article up now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, scrolling. Wednesday State of Play presentation saw a new trailer for a new anime fighter, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. For those who have followed the anime's long-running story, brace yourselves because it looks like everybody is here. The game is being developed by the anime adaptation specialist at CyberConnect 2, which most recently put together Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles. So this fighting game will feature a massive roster of 50 characters, all from different story arcs, and all with their original Japanese voice actors. Okay. And they'll all be drawn out to resemble the original art style of series creator Hirohiko Araki. All right. So, you can expect to see a revamped fighting system that allows for new combos, as well as mechanics like hit stops and a support attack tag system. So kind of Street Fighter-ish.
Kinda. So basically, this is a remake of a PS3 version of the same game with an updated roster. So they're adding everybody that came in after that, including like Jolene, which is from the last the protagonist of the last JoJo series. And of course, like it says here, the scumbag Dio, because it is Dio. It looks good. I was watching that State of Play, and yeah, there was a little bit of excitement about that. Looks like early fall 2022. So yeah, looks good. And CyberConnect 2, yeah, has them from, if you know your gaming things, from those Ninja Storm, Naruto Ninja Storm games also, and Asura's Wrath. So yeah, so they know what they're doing with that kind of stuff. I will go as far as to say, so I don't have to put this in next week's outline. There's also was in a Gundam there's a free-to-play Gundam game that also was shown during that State of Play, and it looks like they said a 6-on-6 shooter, but with Gundams. Yeah, so have at that. I do love me some Gundams, but not PvP, so you're on your own on that one. Next up, though, the very first part, we're now officially getting into the comic book news. With the very first Power Rangers were likely portrayed by their closest ally. So it says here, this is a spoiler for Power Rangers Universe number 3, which is already out. I haven't been keeping up with this Power Ranger stuff because there's a lot. But Power Rangers universe has brought fans all the way back to the beginning of the Mighty Morphin story, to the very first time the Morphin Masters tapped into the power of the grid themselves. Cutting a whole lot of that, it sounds like the future Phantom Ranger may have portrayed his allies without even realizing it. And this article kind of goes into that whole story of that issue. So if you've been keeping up with those books and haven't read this, that will be a spoiler, which I will not spoil for you because I have not, and I have no idea what's going on. Next.
So in some interesting news, and I guess this is part of the April solicits. Did the April solicits come out already? They are, right?
Yes, they should have, because I think we got May.
All right. So Marvel unveils the first look at the deadliest Hulk ever, Meet Titan. Marvel Comics released Alex Malev's variant cover for Hulk number 6 by Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley. Billed as the climax of the first arc of Cates and Ottley's run, Hulk number 6 sees Bruce Banner losing control over Starship Hulk, which allows a new threat called Titan to emerge. You can see Malev's cover for Hulk alongside the solicitation information on the webpage that Roddy Cat is sharing. And all I can say is, I mean, really?
Are you saying there is going to be an attack on Titan?
Oh, I think I might have been hinting at that. I think so.
Indeed. Yeah, well. Oh, jeez. Next up, so Spider-Man trailer prepares Peter for the chaotic new status quo. We alluded to this earlier when we were talking about Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah, there's a trailer for the next volume of Amazing Spider-Man, and it sounds like it's the question is, what did Spider-Man do? Which is the question of the year in this trailer. Says here, in an effort to get fans excited for the web slinger's next adventure, the company has put out a new advertisement for Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr.'s upcoming series. Which actually reminds me of something I need to show you, Agent 70, if you haven't seen it. The trailer's pulse-pounding atmosphere indicates that the days ahead are going to be anything but pleasant for Peter Parker. When are they, really?
It's the story of Spider-Man. Go on.
Right. Yeah, like it's always something with Peter. Come on. Basically, it says here there's a new direction for Spider-Man is on the horizon, not necessarily having to do with the Horizon company.
Right.
But a new trailer shows the next chapter of his life may be one of his darkest yet, as opposed to the last couple. This is me editorializing again. In a new video posted by Marvel Comics, dark tones ring out and painful screams are heard. As glimpses of Peter Parker in tormented flash on screen, the question, what did Spider-Man do, is slowly asked after each unsettling frame. And it kind of goes on from there. So if you want to watch the trailer, you can check it out in the show notes if you so inclined to. Next. Oh, wait.
Okay, as long as it's far, far away from Ben Reilly.
Yeah, April 6th, 2022 is when Amazing Spider-Man #1 is going to be released.
It's coming out soon. Like like we were saying earlier, we're looking forward to it.
Actually, we kind of skipped this next one because I kind of mentioned it already.
In this week's. Oh yeah. So you talked about this in this week's Spider-Gwen Gwenverse #1. Okay.
Yeah, so we can kind of look at that.
Let me pull up the following article. Okay, get this open. All right, it is opening up. The X-Men's Emma Frost is throwing a second Hellfire Gala. Emma Frost is busy planning the second gala on the island of Krakoa, and she's determined not to let anyone stand in her way of doing so. Marvel announced that the upcoming Immortal X-Men #4 will feature a storyline that follows Emma Frost as she begins to make plans for a second Hellfire Gala. Writer Kieran Gillen teams up with artist Michelle Bandini for a Hellfire Gala story ripe with drama, revelations, and betrayal from a shocking uninvited guest in Immortal X-Men #4. So I guess they're going to do another X-Men election at the next Hellfire Gala as well.
Yeah, because I think we talked about it before, where they were possibly trying to make that an annual thing.
Right.
So it sounds like that's the case. This cover is something.
I mean, that might be the variant. That might be. Oh, is that the main cover? It might be the main cover. Imagine if that's the main cover and not the variant.
Shout out to Mark Brooks.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. No, I think no, that's it. Yeah, that's Immortal X-Men.
Yeah, that's the Immortal X-Men title. So yeah, the cover that's right below when you scroll is for the main X-Men title.
Right. So yeah, I guess that might be the main cover. So we don't know.
I wonder if, you know what's funny? I wonder if all they're ever going to give that main X-Men title is like 12 issues and then re-elect the next group.
That sounds logical. Yeah. That sounds like something they do. Because Council sounds like something. Well, it's not necessarily similar to something they're doing in those Infinity comics, but that's just them like having different things for different arcs, but keeping the thing going.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that sounds logical. We'll see if that's exactly the case. I guess I'll take these two. Much to Dirt's chagrin, one of Marvel's most powerful villains, the Beyonder, returns for a new Defenders story. So the Defenders will face off against the Beyonder. I know there are some young folks in the crowd who don't necessarily know who the Beyonder is. Probably have never read Secret Wars 1 or 2. You can probably do it without reading 2 because holy heck. Anywho, and has, despite what it sounds, has nothing to do with the Beyond Corporation, as I originally thought reading Next Wave. So yeah, but the Beyonder was a cosmic character from the 80s, one of the big ones. He's the pretty much the catalyst of the Secret War, the original 2 Secret Wars, not the 2015 one. Had nothing to do with that one, or I guess the one before it either, huh? Wait, how many Secret Wars has there even been? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
There's been 3, well 4 if you count the Bendis one.
Yeah. I was about to say, well, yeah. Ooh, I don't know if to count that one though.
Well, if you're just thinking of like traditional Secret Wars style, then there's Secret Wars 1 and 2, and then there's the Hickman Secret Wars.
Right. Because I think Bendis was like a shield.
Yeah, it was a spy story.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if and I vaguely remember even reading that one, so I can't really say one of it.
I think that was a Secret War as opposed to Secret Wars. I guess that's how you could exclude it.
Right. I think you're right about that. It was a Secret War, not the Secret Wars. So yeah. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, the Beyonder was a big cosmic baddie from back in the 80s. But apparently he's returning because everybody's returning this year for one reason or another. It says here that Marvel Comics announced that the upcoming run of the Defenders, which will begin in June, will see the heroes face off against an enemy from beyond. Marvel's Twitter account dropped 2 posters to accompany the announcement, both of which show the character floating in space. I guarantee you, if you're of a certain vintage and you saw one of those posters, you'd be like, you automatically know who this is. Who this was, and maybe gave the loudest groan ever. So the Beyonder was better off when he wasn't actually shown as a character. When the original Secret Wars, I'm like, okay, sure, but the second,
he was just a voice.
Yeah,
he was just a voice.
Yeah, but when Secret Wars 2 came and he brought him to Earth, and he looks like this if you're watching the video.
Well, initially, if I'm not mistaken, initially he took on the form of Steve Rogers.
I believe that was
in Secret Wars 2.
Yes, and then
he picked like the most perfect human specimen he could find. He was like, you know what? I think he watched him. I think the way the story goes is that he went to visit someone who is familiar with from Secret Wars, and then noticed that a lot of people reacted to him in a positive way, so he took on the form of Steve Rogers. But then eventually, over the course of that second miniseries, took on a very 80s look.
Yes. Probably if Hasselhoff was a little younger and the MCU was around, they probably would have gotten him to play the Beyonder. Pretty
much.
But yeah, so that's the thing. Boy, I almost kind of wish we were still doing those Evergreen episodes when books weren't coming around, because we probably would have gotten to around Secret Wars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I'm kind of surprised we didn't do Secret Wars, honestly, but
I think that the pandemic eased up just in time, because I think what ended up happening is that we covered some of the stuff that that both of us were kind of weak on.
Right.
You know, and I think that was for the better.
Well, and some of it was in relation to stuff that was coming out at the time, whether MCU wise or otherwise. So so it ended up working out that stuff that was coming up ended up being relative.
Right. I mean, you know, our schedules are busy as it is, and we're always on. Look at how regular we are in terms of our schedule, and we are on week after week. We only take off for movie protocol. You know, knock on wood. Yeah. You know, hopefully myself or Roddycat does not have to do a solo show anytime soon. But if we have to take off a week or so, it happens. Ultimately, you know, we follow a pretty regular schedule, so and that's sometimes all we can allot in our schedule for doing Comic Book Chronicle stuff. But if we are ever able to do some evergreen shows and just talk about, you know, Secret Wars, I think we still have, we have a list somewhere online, right?
Oh, totally, it's still there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I said earlier on Twitter, earlier as of the recording, as Amazon has this thing called book clubs. I'm like, dang, that would have been something that probably would have served us fairly decently back when we were doing those episodes. We probably could still do something, just not. It'd be like that Marvel podcast where they was like, but then again, they end up talking about the books the next week, whereas we probably would not, because we read a lot of books as it is, as Agent 70 said. But recommending us something, a thing to book to read, and you know, that's the thing. Anyway, but like I said, going on to this, back to this Defenders thing, and actually let me just go on to the next story, because yeah, we got the Beyonder coming up in this, and also Marvel is recruiting 2 MCU stars to be on the team apparently. So this new Defenders storyline, which is going to be written by Al Ewing and artist Javier Rodriguez, will recruit 2 MCU stars, as I said, America Chavez and a Loki variant. And excuse me, and it seems like I guess that's Agent of Agent of Asgard Loki. I don't know. Regardless, following 2021-22's There Are No Rules arc, Ewing and Rodriguez are returning to Marvel's Defender with a new Beyond saga that begins in June. We already know who's going to be the big bad behind it. It sounds like the team is going to be made out of Blue Marvel, America Chavez, Taya, who was in that last volume, as I remember, and that is the mother of Galactus. I actually read that, now that I think about it. Tigra and the Loki variant, and yeah. Yep, and I was right. The Agent of Asgard series, which makes sense because Al Ewing wrote that also. So he's playing with his toys again. They'll have to, similar to defend reality itself, the mission will take them to the very limits of space and time and beyond it, ha ha ha, as they confront questions few heroes have dared to ask and receive answers no one in the Marvel universe is prepared for, according to this quote. There's a title, there is looks like what is going to be the cover of the Defenders Beyond. Looks like as the new team on one side, and the a bunch of the old team or characters from the old teams on the other. And yeah.
Purely from a Marvel Legends perspective, I'm looking at the old Defenders. I'm like, wow, we actually have a lot of them. We're just missing Isaac Christian's the gargoyle, that version of Moondragon. We already have a Nighthawk, and that version of Red Guardian, and an angel that actually has wings, feathered wings.
Oh wait, you're talking about Marvel? I'm sorry, you said Marvel Legends.
Marvel Legends.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I'm just looking Marvel Legends wise. I'm like, wow, we actually already have a lot of those. As for the Defenders roster, we only have Tigra. We obviously don't have that Taya character yet, and we're getting a Blue Marvel, and we're getting an America Chavez that's movie based.
That's already out. Yeah, I've seen that one in stores. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would like a proper America Chavez, but I mean, not saying that was not, but
a comic book based one, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, that America Chavez is already in stores. I've seen that one out. Probably have that Loki also, but I don't know. There is a Hellcat, is there not?
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was saying. Like when now you're gonna make me open up that page, the thing, the image again. We're only missing the Moondragon. We're missing the Isaac Christians. The gargoyle, we're missing the female Red Guardian that's in the background. And we're missing an angel that has feathers because the angel that we have is Archangel.
Archangel, yeah.
Everybody else we actually have already. I may not have them, but they exist in Marvel Legends form.
We have Brunhilde?
What's that?
We have that Brunhilde?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
She exists. She came out a while ago. She came out in the Hulkbuster wave, so she's been out for a while.
Gotcha. I wonder if I have that. Actually, I don't know what I have at this point. So you know what? Let's move on.
Yeah,
that's a rabbit hole. So yeah, this is starting in June. I'll probably read it. It's Al Ewing. Why not? I read that last one. It was kind of bonkers.
All right. Moving on. Next up, as we try to rush through the rest of the news, Marvel's going to publish Predator Omnibus, as they have now acquired the rights to the license to this intellectual property. So they set a new release date, because I remember they had set one and then they had to take it off.
Right.
So they set a new release date for the first volume of its Predator Omnibus, which collects the comics produced by Dark Horse Comics between 1986 and 1997. The original year's Omnibus Volume 1 was originally scheduled for July 2021. The new publication date is now September 14th of 2022, and the MSRP is $125. But hey, that there are a lot of comics for a 1,032-page hardcover.
I mean, yeah, bang for your buck.
Seriously.
Marvel's Avengers adds Uru Iron Man skin. Let's see. Yeah, so Marvel's the Avengers video game has been adding skins left and right. March 3rd, the marketplace, well, I guess it's already going on, will feature Iron Man's Uru armor that first debuted in Fear Itself number 7. Anyway, that's funny. Fear Itself, yeah. The armor was I don't know how long this is going to be around. I assume it is probably still going to be there at this time, because it is the March 11th. So hey, if you're still playing that game and want that armor, go for it. Next.
Lost my place. Star Wars Villainous is coming in 2022, and it gives you the power of, seriously, the dark side. This is what is this? It's a board game landing in August of this year. It's a spin-off of Ravensburger's original Disney Villainous franchise. And Star Wars Villainous allows fans to play as Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, Asajj Ventress, Moff Gideon, or General Grievous. Each one has a unique sculptural token with flecks of a different color injected into the mold to provide a suitably battle-worn look. So it introduces new mechanics, including vehicles and ambition, and ships such as the Millennium Falcon allow rivals to save heroes from defeat and hold them in reserve for later. The press release for the game notes that Ambition offers abilities based on the villain's use of the Force and other things. So it's not just a redo of Disney Villainous. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and it's been like, I assume this will fold. You'll be able to use this with the main game, but or probably not. So
The game retails for $39.99, and it launches in August 2022.
Cool. Star Trek Picard uses 4 Star Trek Online ships in its second season premiere. So yeah, I forgot to mention this when last week's show. Um, Cryptic announced the inclusion, of 4 of Star Trek Online starship models in the television show, thereby making them officially canon. These include the Gagarin, the Reliant, the Ross, and the Sutherland class ships. I thought that Stargazer that they used in the show was also from the. Well, I mean, the Stargazer was prior to Star Trek Online. But regardless, this was kind of cool to see is that the fact that they use ships from the video that were made for the video game and put back into the live action Star Trek lore. So that was pretty cool. Next up.
The OP announces Avatar The Last Airbender Fire Nation Rising. So this is a brand new cooperative board game set for release in summer 2022. The game is 1 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, and retails for $49.99. Wow. Okay.
Board games are expensive. I don't know if you knew
Jeez. That. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was all good until the Fire Nation attacked. That it seems interesting. We won't go into it, but you can read it, the article in the show notes. Check out this Thundercats Sword of Omens prop replica. I got the image up right there. Sadly, it does not retract as the Sword of Omens want to do, but nevertheless, Factory Entertainment's got you covered if you need one. It's a 1-to-1 scale prop replica of the Sword of Omens. Stainless steel sword with a mirror chrome finish and something Lion-O will be proud of, according to this article. The retail price is, hold your horses, folks, gird your loins, 600 USDs, with shipping estimate in fall 2022. If you are like me, you can just gaze at these images because that's probably about as close as you're going to get to the sword.
I'm surprised they're not making a wakizashi, like the short sword version, like the dagger
version. Shocked that they haven't. Yeah.
No, as a companion piece and like jack the price up to a cool G.
Mm.
That would have made all the sense in the world. But they're gonna make it and just charge you more for it, and not sell it as a combo.
You would think at this point the technology would be to have a retractable sword that's not gonna break in 5 seconds.
Yeah, but it's not that strong. It's sword technology is not like that though.
I know.
All right. So next up, Renegade announces standalone expansion for Transformers deck building game. Rising Darkness features playable Decepticons. So Renegade Game Studios announced Transformers deck building game, Rising Darkness, a new standalone expansion for release into retail in the second quarter of this year. This expansion features new Decepticon villains, including Megatron, Starscream, and more. It adds new cards and new modes of play to the core game. The 2 primary modes of play added are a competitive mode where the Decepticons thwart each other's plans while they face the Autobots, and cooperative mode where the Decepticons join their forces to battle the Autobots. The game box comes with 174 standard game cards, 6 oversized character cards, blah, 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 blah. The game is for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in 45 to 90 minutes. It retails for $45.
So real quick, when I saw this, I was thinking, wait, there was already a Transformers trading card game, and that was like, so that they had killed a couple of years ago, and I thought this was that. Apparently, this is a deck building game, which is a new thing, and this is an expansion for a newer thing that I did not know about previously, and I'm probably going to end up getting this stupid thing. Next up, though, Transformers Final Story is the ending fans never thought they'd see. So, as folks may or may not know, the Transformers license is leaving IDW. So I guess they're, so they're wrapping up their stories by this summer, if I'm not mistaken. So it says here that as IDW says goodbye to the franchise with a TMNT Last Ronin style tale, the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons, blah blah blah. You already know the story. But the war is coming to an end after a fashion, and actually, which is funny because they were kind of leading up to the big battle, from what I'm understanding, or from what it seemed like it was reading like. Because this was set before they came to Earth. But regardless of getting out of all of that, IDW has announced a new Transformers miniseries, Last by Standing, that will present a vision of the future, a time when the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons ended eons ago. According to the comic book publisher, that would be IDW, the miniseries is set at the edge of the universe, at the end of time, on the planet Danacht, a world on the brink of industrial revolution. A lone figure visitor falls from the sky, as Cybertronians tend to do at the times. A shape-tripping robot from an ancient civilization, the last survivor of Cybertron. It goes on from there. It's written. Looks like it's going to be written and art done by Nick Roche, who explained in the press release. And yeah, that's going to be a thing. Let's see. This is Last Spot Standing. Did it say a date, or did I miss it? It's probably going to be by the summer. I don't see a date here, so yeah. Nevertheless, that things is coming. Next up.
Sorry. Next up, Hot Toys' The Batman Deluxe 1/6 scale figure features a working light up bat signal. That's not that unique, but it's in the fashion of the new The Batman movie. So let's see how much this is. You can see images of it as Roddy Cat scrolls through. I'm looking for the price. Because you know Hot Toys stuff is expensive. Where is it? I don't see it. Did I pass it by?
You like me with that last story.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the price.
Apparently, the bat signal is USB or battery powered.
Oh yeah, I was about to say I have a mini bat signal that's battery powered.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see a price either.
Yeah, it's not in the article. It's okay.
Pricey, because like Agent 76.
Yeah, it's Hot Toys.
Exactly.
Because it's Hot Toys.
Yeah. Anyway, excuse me. This is a spoiler for Nubia and the Amazons number 6. We don't necessarily need to go into it, but yeah, like I said earlier, somebody dies, and that's going to be a part of that trial of the Amazons thing. Next up.
All right, a sneak peek at Justice League versus the Legion of Superheroes number 2 finally delves into the true origins of the Gold Lantern, Kala Lauer. There's a Gold Lantern?
That's in that. Actually, that came out this week. The Justice League versus League of Superheroes thing.
Legion of Superheroes. Okay.
Yeah, that thing.
Okay. It's a Bendis thing. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to say too. I was just about to say that.
It's a Bendis thing. Okay. All right. So the origin is gonna come out. Whatchamacallit? Right. So this week. Sorry, it was number 2. Okay.
Right. So yeah, that thing.
All right.
Earlier this year, DC Comics announced Flashpoint Beyond, a new bi-weekly 6-issue series beginning next month, picking up where 2011 event miniseries left off. The series kicks off with a 0 issue written by Jeff Johns, illustrated by Eduardo Risa, colored by Trish Mulvihill, and lettered by Rob Lee. Today, DC released a letter preview of the issue, which features Thomas Wayne, the Batman of the Flashpoint timeline, teamed with a pair of familiar characters from the universe of The Watchmen, the duo Marionette and Mime from Doomsday Clock. So they're basically tying or continuing to tie DC to the Watchmen stuff, or vice versa, I guess you'll say. And the rest of the article goes on into a description of Flashpoint Beyond 0. Next.
So in some interesting news, Watchmen co-creator Dave Gibbons is releasing an autobiography called Confabulation, an Anecdotal Autobiography in October of 2022. So you will recognize Dave Gibbons, as I said earlier, as co-creator of The Watchmen, and a pretty prolific artist, specifically doing some DC Comics work. So that could prove to be an interesting read, especially if you want to maybe hear some of his behind-the-scenes stuff working with Alan Moore.
Mm-hmm. I'm showing the cover for this thing. Don't think it's a 325-page hardcover released on October 25th, 2022.
Yeah, I was just looking for a price myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually it doesn't. There is no price on this one either. So, given that number, that's got to be at least 20, 30, probably more.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith to launch Dark Horse comic book line, because we knew he was going to come back to comics at some point, right?
Snoogans.
I assume, I got a feeling you probably heard this on Fat Man Beyond.
Of course.
So yeah, so Kevin Smith, Dark Horse getting in bed together. The line will be called the Kevin Smith's Secret Stash Press, named for his New Jersey comic book shop, of course. It will launch this fall with Masquerade, an 8-issue series about a budding vigilante. It'll be followed up by the ongoing anthology Quick Stops, set in his View Askew universe, that includes Jay and Silent Barbs, Clerks, Mallrats, etc. Actually, there isn't, so that's pretty much it. There's a quote from Dark Horse president. We don't need to go into that. And apparently, this is the 25th anniversary of Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, according to Kevin Smith. So, yeah. Congratulations. Next
up, Skybound provided comic book resources with an exclusive first look at new pages from The Walking Dead Clementine, Book 1 by Tilly Walden. So this is a follow-up to the Telltale Games The Walking Dead, the final season, Clementine Book 1. Final season, that is. Clementine Book 1 is the first in a series of 3 young adult graphic novels focused on the titular character. Published by Skybound Comet, Clementine sees the character heading north and encountering an Amish teenager named Amos. Together, they head for an abandoned ski resort in Vermont, where other teens are trying to build a new settlement. Okay.
Hopefully Amos doesn't end up like Lee. Those who played that game know what I'm talking about. Dumb and Dumber is returning as a graphic novel in an unexpected way. And I read this, I had to look at the date on this because I'm sitting here like, how old is this article? Apparently it's from a few days ago. So the hit comedy Dumb and Dumber is making a comeback, but it won't be on the big screen. Dumb and Dumber Irrational Treasure is I guess National Treasure Playoff is an upcoming graphic novel from Scholastic that places Lloyd and Harry in a new adventure in middle school. This article goes on to talk about Dumb and Dumber. Timely, of course. It will introduce Tinny, a new character who will find herself unexpectedly along for the ride. The cover has been revealed as well as a release date. No price. June 28th is when it's going to be released. I don't know. Does any kid even know what Dumb and Dumber is? This is
at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, last up.
I mean, in the world of streaming, you never know.
Well, I guess so. I don't know.
You know, so many things are available to people that you just don't know. You know.
Yeah, it seems a weird cut, but sure.
All right. Last but not least, Aftershock Comics and Women of Color unite to produce Animus, the first graphic novel created by women of color. The world of Animus is similar to our own, with similar problems: the economy, the environment, conflicts between nations and countries, leaning more and more to the political far right. In this world, there is one big difference: psychic abilities exist. Though rare, these gifts come in many forms, including telepathy, telekinesis, healing, and teleportation, but only women can possess them. These women are heroes, villains, and vigilantes, CEOs, doctors, politicians, artists, soldiers, activists, and even petty thieves and Animus. Each has their own story and place in the world. Okay.
Sure. That's cool. I saw this on Twitter and was like, okay, that's a cool thing. We are rounding the end of this here show. We've got one more ad read.
Before the ad, we just have a little bit of a toy corner.
Oh, right. Sure.
Just very quickly, because it is late and we are running on fumes because gas is expensive. This came in today. It is the Marvel Legends, unfortunately, Walmart exclusive Doctor Strange Marvel Legends. So this is the OG Doctor Strange, but definitely inspired by was it Wade and Kevin Nolan on that Doctor Strange run where he got the axe? Was it Mark Wade? I think it was.
Or was that after or before Wade? Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. But I know what run you're talking about, but I'm not.
Yeah, because we read it.
Right.
We talked about it on the show. I want to say it was Mark Wade because on the back, the box art shows the Kevin Nolan art.
Right.
Right. And the axe, the battle axe, is the giveaway. Remember when he had the magical forge, and he was building magical weapons.
Right.
So what's cool about this Doctor Strange figure is that he comes with the wand of Watum. So slowly but surely we are building up a small stock of magical accessories. We've gotten copies of the Darkhold and the Book of the Vishanti, and now we have the Wand of Watum as well. So it's pretty cool that we're getting these. As you can see, we get an alternate head. We have a couple alternate hands. We get the magic hands slash web shooter hands that Doctor Strange has here. My understanding is that the cape is glued onto him, which is good and bad. Because the good is that the previous capes would be kind of finicky and move around a lot, but the bad is that you can't take this one off at all. Right. But I haven't opened mine yet, so I have yet to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case based on what I've read and seen online. But this is a cool figure. Unfortunately, it is exclusive to Walmart, and it may be an online exclusive, so you may want to check the Walmart site and order yours before they are gone, because this is a pretty classic looking Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Cool.
And that's it for me. And our last ad read of the night, because it's late and we're tired, keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or other Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
And as we come to the end of another episode of this here Comic Book Chronicles, thank you for being out. Sorry it's a long one, but hey, there was a lot of news to go through. But yeah, we'll be back next week as we tend to do. Moon Knight. I guess we got
not yet.
Not yet. We still got another 2 weeks for that. Sorry. But yeah, Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, I'll try to catch up. If I can catch it Thursday morning, I'll do my best, but I doubt it. It'll be in the evening. Hopefully I'll have enough time to watch it before the show. But if not, Roddy Cat will, he'll talk about it. I don't worry about spoilers, but that might be a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, because of the fact that it comes out on Thursday and we record on Thursday, I don't want to really spoil it for anybody who's just coming to the thing. I know we got a lot of listeners after the fact, so it probably doesn't matter one way or the other. But we try to at least give folks some time to watch it without spoiling things. Either way, we'll be back next week, one way or the other. This is the Comic Book Chronicles. I have been Roddy Cat. You can find me at RoddyCat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Dirt, PC_Dirt at that on Twitter. You can also find him at Pop Culture Net on Twitter, and popculturenetwork.com is all his umbrella says therein. Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter. You can find him also at CBChron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. The Kliq Nation on Twitter. That's the KLIQNATION. TheKliqNation.com. And also comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. And actually, check out the clickbait section of this week's show in the show notes, because there's another article that Tim wrote, which was a interview with I think with Jim Zub about something I totally forget. Yeah, about the Thunderbolts book that he's writing coming up. So definitely check that out, as well as other stuff in the clickbait section, including trailer breakdowns of that Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. But watch that trailer because it's really good if you're a Star Wars fan. Cha-ching.
I was about to say, I wasn't sure if you were done.
Yeah, no, that's why I gave you the cue.
I gotcha.
You could also find us recording. Oh, excuse me. You can find this here podcast at the cspn.us.
Do it today.
That's right. That's the Coastal Podcast Network. You could also find us on your podcast portal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You can also find us recording every Thursday, as we said, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Smash that like button.
All right, hit like and subscribe.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, folks. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Wakanda forever!